disaster, dude. This is a fucking disaster, bro. Holy shit balls. Okay. Okay, this is a fucking disaster, bro. My camera is now not working after the reboot. The USB on the camera isn't working. This is a fucking disaster. The entire thing has been derailed. It's over, dude. It's over. It's over, bro. All right, hold on. Let me try to fix this. They got me. They got me, bro. OBS wanted to start in safe mode, but I shut it down properly, so I don't even know why it's doing that. Okay, there we go. We got bigger fish to fry, though, because, like, literally, I can't restore my browser, and it crashes. It crashes, like, immediately now. Like, I don't even need to click restore. Yikes, dude. My shit is berserked, man. Hold on. How do I do safe mode? Holy shit, dude. What is happening? Chrome is not... I've never seen Chrome do this. Hold on. Hold on. I got to open up a different browser. I'm going to open up Edge. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, you come crawling back. Come crawl. Oh, I see you crawling back to me, huh? All right. How do we open Chrome in safe mode? Is it shift? Do you hold down shift? No, not in incognito mode. How do you do it? Oh, open in incognito mode. Okay. Control Shift N. Okay. Control Shift N. Okay. Now I have an incognito tab. That's not really what I wanted. Holy shit. I'm going to have to do a fucking reinstallation of Chrome over here. Fuck, dude. I think I am. This is nuts. I've never had this happen. Okay, I got to do some IT here, folks. I have all this shit saved in Chrome. I know. I'm such a bitch for Google. All right, downloading a setup here. Sorry, this is not very good news content, I know, but my entire news program has been interrupted. Okay, we're initializing. We're doing an installation. You can't. I'm not going to bother showing you this stuff because it's so fucking. I mean, maybe you want to see it. I don't know. Let me just do that. Display capture. Here we go. Yeah, you want to see the dirty behind the scenes. Here we go. Please, Daddy, please. Oh, yeah! Woo! We back. Classic reinstallation. Oh, you know, it's good when the classics work. Okay, well, let's keep this ball rolling. Try to close some of these tabs before my computer fan just kicked in there. It's like, oh God, the tabs. Okay, well, this is disgusting. I can't be doing a fucking comedic bit with people literally starving and screaming on my fucking screen. All right, let's get back to the fucking news. News time. Let me get rid of this real quick. Sorry, folks. 1 second. Let me just remove this. Get my main browser back over here. Here we go. And we are back, folks. Okay. Classic reinstallation fixed it. Okay. Trigger warning once again. I'm sorry, these obnoxious trigger warnings, but this is legitimate. If you don't want to see hundreds of people in this capture vertical video, if only the person had kicked the phone sideways, we'd probably be capturing thousands. It's impossible to tell how many people are in this scene, but this is what a mass starvation campaign looks like when it's reaching its apex. And once again, I'm pretty certain the point of this campaign is to create a situation that's totally untenable with the expectation that people are going to self-deport or self-migrate, voluntarily migrate. Is that the new flowery language that we're using? Voluntary migration to describe an ethnic cleansing. This is what it looks like. Men, women, children starving to death. So many faces, so many bodies, so many hungry mouths. Not enough food. Look at that. Her food was getting stolen. Her food was getting stolen. Yeah, they're screaming because they're getting crushed. But there's no order here. I mean, this, and the girl herself who was collapsed, she's got 2 pots. You're probably only supposed to bring 1. No order, no security. You know, where's Hamas? You know what I mean? Where are these big, bad, brave Hamas fight? You know, they can't even provide basic, you know, I mean, honestly, if Hamas was there, this would be airstrike. So maybe it's a good idea that they're not there. But, you know, they're supposed to be the government. They're supposed to be taking care of these people, making sure this stuff is distributed evenly. Hell, if Hamas was there, they'd probably be stealing the food from these people. That's how despicable they are. These people are on their own, and the Western world does not care. Yeah, it's happening right in front of us. Yeah, Krail, yeah. Yeah, Morning Joe should open with this. Hey, Willie, what'd you think? How was your weekend, Willie? Israel orders demolition. I already covered this, but this is just another story updating. Israel orders demolition of 106 homes in West Bank refugee camp. Residents given 24 hours to leave. The settler colonialism continues at pace. You know, I mean, I don't even understand why they're still trying. You know, that's what Ben Gvir and Smoltrich are trying to say is like, why are we even bothering with the incrementalism? You know, why don't we just go for it? The whole world knows what we're doing, and the longer we wait, the less opportunity we have to just take this now when we have the opportunity. And Bibi Netanyahu's like, they've been doing this for decades. Incrementalism is how the West wants to do this. If we want the checks to continue to come in from the West uninterrupted and unquestioned, we have to do this ethnic cleansing in this way. We have to do it in the way that they want. That's really the big grand bargain that we're seeing right here between this coalition. Oh. So this is just, you know, a little bit more information about the nuts and bolts of the intentional starvation campaign.
Food supplies for our core food assistance program within Gaza are fully depleted.
The World Food Program announced today that they have run out of food stocks in Gaza. That is due to the Israeli ban on entry of supplies of any kind, regardless of how critical those supplies may be.
The 25 bakeries we used to support across Gaza Strip, serving 800,000 people, are no longer operational. And food parcels, so core to our program, intended to reach half of the population in Gaza, have been fully distributed. Our remaining stocks were directed to Hot Meal Kitchen, but these too are expected to run out by the end of the month. If the context remains unchanged, WFP's critical lifeline assistance may be forced to end. It is critical that we are able to resume food deliveries into Gaza immediately.
That was a video directly from the United Nations. Donald Trump, of course, wants to leave this organization. He doesn't fucking get it. Here is an Israeli politician saying, I want to starve Gazans completely. I mean, what do they have to do? Do they have to dress up like a little red devil or what? You know, get into the Elon Musk uniform with the full swastika and, you know what I mean? Like, what do they got to do, man? It's like spank my little red behind. I've been a bad boy. I'm doing an ethnic cleansing genocide. What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Ew. I mean, come on with this. You know, it's like, okay, even the fucking, you know, like, is this the first time we've seen, like, on top of the crimes against humanity, they're like trolling everybody? Has that ever happened before? Like Genghis Khan is like, you know what I mean? Like sending like, you know, fire emojis right before he fucking sends fucking, you know, flaming fireballs into the village he's about to pillage. You know what I mean? Like, you know, they're like trolling us on top of the crimes against humanity. Is this necessary? You know, it really does feel like salt on the wound. At this point, they could just do public beheadings and the world would be like, well, it's complicated. And, you know, but Hamas. He did kind of troll, didn't he?
אני כן יריב עזתים, כן וכן, זה החובה שלנו. החובה שלנו להגלות את העזתים. יש 10 מדינות בעולם שרוצות אותם ומוכנות לקלוט. זה התפקיד שלנו, כל יום שעובר...
השאלה, חבר הכנסת משה סעדה, כשאתה חבר כנסת בפרלמנט הישראלי אומר, אני כן מעוניין להרעיב עזתים, אז אם אתה מבין את ההשלכות של האמירה הזאת.
All right, little pushback on Israeli media. Understand the implications of that statement. I want to starve Gazans, right? I mean, pretty tepid pushback, but pushback all the same.
אני מסביר לך, הן פשוטות.
Wasn't I clear? It's simple. I want to starve Gazans completely. A full I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. Dude, if I wrote a fucking, West World, the West Wing, that show, the Aaron Sorkin show about the West, about the White House, and it's like if I were to write like a political show, political drama, and just put in characters like this, people would say I was like a full blown anti-Semite. That like, oh, look how you're characterizing the person supporting Israel. Bro, I want to starve Gazans completely, a full siege. Come on, man. This is just bad writing. Like, what are you, like, do you secretly hate Jewish people or something? You know what I mean? Like, if I wrote something like this, it would make me sound like a raving anti-Semite. But this is just casual member of the Knesset, right? Is this I don't know if this guy he sounds more aligned with Ben Gvir than Bibi, but there's really not much difference. I want to starve Gazans completely, a full siege. No, you don't get it. And he's like, aren't you worried? Hey man, hold on with that rhetoric. He's like, no, bro. I want to fucking go. I want to kill.
אם אתה מבין את ההשלכות של האמירה הזאת.
אני מסביר לך, הן פשוטות. אני מעוניין להריב את העזתים, לעשות מצור על מלא. מי שרוצה לצאת, יצא לאזור הומניטרי שאנחנו ננהל אותו.
So here we go, laid bare. That's what the plan is, right? Like I said, voluntary migration. You create a situation of suffering so bad, they have to leave, right? Because there's no food, there's no medical assistance, there's literally nothing there but a sniper bullet waiting for your infant son.
אנחנו, צה"ל יחלק את המזון, כי מי
תתמודד עם ביקורת מהעולם?
Okay, what did he say? And how will you deal with the world's criticism? Okay. I mean, I don't know about pro-Hamas, but they're definitely very friendly. They're willing to call Hamas still like a legitimate resistance. Is the Middle Eastern news agency or whatever, Middle East Eye, are they putting a gun to this man's head and forcing him to read a script? Is that what we're witnessing right here? This Israeli politician who's calling for the complete starvation of all of Gaza is the Middle Eastern Eye? Do they have his family hostage? And if he doesn't read this script with full conviction, that he's gonna that they're gonna get beheaded or something? Is that what we're happening? Or is this guy proudly proclaiming that he's doing everything in his power as an Israeli politician sitting in the Knesset to starve Gazans completely to death? And if this guy is being is a host of a pro Hamas network, he sure is being pretty like, okay, aren't you worried about the PR ramifications of saying you want to starve everybody? Right? You want to do this? Aren't you worried about the world's criticism? Like it's actually pretty bog standard questions. Like, aren't you worried that this is going to backfire at all? Okay, here we go with it. I almost knew this was coming. It's interesting that your icon is blood red, like the apartheid genocide that you support. 1 second here. I don't have time for this, so of course, not really going to press the point. Just going to hit the flush button. Keep on moving. Listen to that gurgle. Silence. Okay, on to the Israeli politician calling for the starvation of all of Gaza. So how will you deal with the world's criticism? Really? We've been there before. They don't give a shit. The West will support this until the very end. They knew in the 1940s that this was a campaign to completely annihilate Palestine, and they didn't do shit about it. They kept the checks going. What do you mean?
שם, באמת, ביקורת בעולם, עזוב, זה לא רציני, אנחנו צריכים לדאוג ליהודים.
He literally said it, bro. Shut up. Okay, you're not getting a Pulitzer for this script, man. Okay, what is this guy, an Italian gangster? I thought he was a pro. What? Forget about it, really? Forget about it, huh? We're gonna forget about it, huh? The cannoli. Come on with this. Terrible writing. Look, can the aliens that are running this fucking simulation hit the button and let me out of my fucking goo pod? Okay, I want to go in the sewers where the real humans are. Okay, where things make sense.
היינו שם, באמת, ביקורת בעולם. עזוב, זה לא רציני, אנחנו צריכים לדאוג ליהודים. הגיע הזמן.
Forget about it. Hey, come on. Like the West cares, criticize, forget about it. Hey, well, cannoli. Rapid fire. I'm going to go through these clips as quickly as I can. Prepare your innocence for complete destruction. Here are Israelis, as we just saw, the starvation of men, women, and children. Here are Israelis proudly, happily dumping flour on the ground. It's what they do. Here we go. It's anti-Semitic if you say this is wrong. Oh, please stop. Please stop. Oh, chase the criminals. Oh, you're blatant. You're doing a blatant crime. Oh, please stop. No, please. Oh, stop. Make it stop. Oh, so concerned. Okay, you know what? This is like I need to figure this out. I need to read this more carefully. Haaretz is not a perfect organization by any means. Everyone has their biases. Everyone has their problems. There's some criticism here against Haaretz. I'm going to put this on the back burner until I know more about it. I will be bringing it up later, though. I'm going to put this in a different. I'm going to put this in the disc. Wow, my Discord crashed. Wow. Okay. All right. Maybe that's what. Oh no, I just restarted my computer. I haven't started Discord yet. I'm going to close Discord though because that shit gobbles up the RAM. Have you ever noticed how much Discord gobbles up the RAM? Let me put this back in politics. I'm going to read this first thing. I want to know more about this before I report on it. Moving on to the next story here. Palestinian farmers in the occupied West Bank. So, by the way, this is one of those really young heroes reporting in Palestine, another extremely young person because they understand that they are shielded somewhat shielded. Rachel Corrie thought she was totally shielded by the West, right? Being a pretty, white girl, English speaking white girl. She thought she was totally protected until the bulldozer crushed her spine. It requires a lot of guts to be out here and putting yourself in between the IDF and the Palestinians, right? It requires a lot of guts. And we got a real hero here, another one out here reporting. Common tactic, of course, by the settlers. Palestinian farmers in the occupied West Bank have to live under constant Israeli terrorism. Journalist Andre X reports. I don't know, maybe cut the X shit out. You're a young person, whatever. You're allowed to do whatever you want. It's your fucking world. I just need to die.
For the past few weeks, Israeli settlers have been actively sabotaging the agriculture of the village of Bartala.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Discord.
اجوا علينا المستوطنين من البؤر الاستيطانية الجديدة اللي موجودة هون جنب المزرعة. كانوا عددهم 8 أشخاص لكن
So they come in the middle of the night, fuck up the crops, right? Ruin the crops, and in an attempt, of course, to starve the Palestinians out. And then they unironically sleep like babies, calling themselves moral, right?
الثمار البطيخ زي ما أنتم شايفين.
Oh, but this, we didn't starve. We're not starving humans. This is how you take care of rodents, right? You just remove their source of food, and then the animals go away.
Oh, they started cutting it here.
بالتالي موت النبات كيف أنتم شايفين يعني طلع على
So there you
النبات
go. Just
normal خطر أو نبات جاف.
Normal state-sanctioned terrorism, right? Because the idea, they'll call the police, they'll come out. Oh yeah, too bad, so sad. Okay, yeah, we'll file a report. Tee-hee. Nothing is done. There's really no point in even calling the authorities. Most of the cops that show up support this.
نهائيا خسارة فادحة.
Yeah,
أكثر من 200,000 شيكل
all kinds of money.
القطعة هاي. أتمنى وبطلبوا من المؤسسات الداعمة إنه توفير لنا حماية من المتضامنين سواء أجانب أو سواء من اليهود تعمل التعايش واللي هم وقفوا معنا بهالفترة هاي لحتى نقدر نستعيد مزرعتنا.
And on top of that, 2 days ago, the settlers invaded the village, burned down several houses, and shot up the place, landing 7 people in the hospital. You can see my previous report on that.
Right. So it doesn't just stop at pseudo juvenile style terrorism against plants. It escalates into full blown catastrophic violence. Firebombing someone's home, burning it down, shooting it up with real guns given to them by the IDF, by Ben Gvir. I mean, how much do we need to see? You know what I mean? How much of this do we need to see? Here we go with the fucking music again. How much of this do we need to fucking see? How much of this, and like, this is why we blop. This is why we go to the blop. We go to the big list of protests and we show up, right? I can't sleep at night sometimes thinking about, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, I would say, because, I mean, well, who am I kidding? I fucking, my ass, I go to bed, dude. I saw some logs, man. I have the nightmares, though. Plenty of nightmares, if that helps. But, doing stuff like this helps soothe that pain, right? Because it's like a pain on the inside, You're crying while you're bopping along, right? Okay. Here is Israeli TV openly debating killing babies in Gaza. I mean, the sentences that I have to say, man. But yeah, here is another example of genocidal narratives being talked about on Israeli TV. Now, kudos to this. I think there's a counter narrative. I think that's what this woman who looks very unhappy about what this man is saying. I think she's providing a counter narrative. So that's refreshing. But I mean, this is the kind of, casual, kind of like what you see on Fox News, where they're like, well, maybe we don't need to respect the Constitution in any way, shape, or form. Maybe we can just, arrest people without due process, and that's okay. And we can just, completely shit all over the Constitution, just casually, talking about the destruction of our government as if it isn't, completely abnormal,
הם רצחו אותנו, אנסו אותנו, שדדו אותנו,
October 7th.
חטפו אותנו,
Right.
רצחו ילדים קטנים, נשים, אנסו.
October 7th.
אתה לא יכול להגיד דבר...
I do need to repeat that terrorism against one country actually doesn't justify that country completely annihilating the other country because one country committed terrorism against it. They, of course, have a right to, quote unquote, defend themselves if this was a war. But they do not have the right to facilitate and fund a full-blown ethnic cleansing.
כזה, אחרי מה שהם עשו, צריך למחוק את עזה. למחוק את עזה.
Should be wiped out.
למחוק את עזה.
Yeah, it should be wiped. Three times, man. We got to do it, right? Is this guy going to build the graves? Is he going to dig the graves? Is he going to sift through the hundreds of thousands of dead people? Yeah, I'll do it. Right. cowards like this who speak the loudest about genocide often can't even stand the sight of blood. Creil of Xanath, that is going too far. Let's try to avoid that kind of stuff that can be easily misinterpreted by bad actors. Israel is there. It's not going anywhere. Okay. Israel deserves sovereignty. They deserve to have secure borders. They deserve to not have to deal with these petty, ridiculous rockets. Yeah, okay, Creil, it's not going anywhere, man. And making these, from the river to the sea arguments only helps Bibi. No, you're wrong. You're totally wrong. And what you're doing is you're helping Bibi Netanyahu. You're helping the IDF with its genocidal narratives. So congratulations, Creil, on being a useful idiot for the IDF. Repeating narratives that they easily turn around and they say, look, see, if we don't do what we do, we will be exterminated. Look, see these bloodthirsty leftists who want to destroy us, these pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas people who want to destroy us. That's not how we win, man.
עזה הייתה צריכה לקבל מכה שלא כתובה בתורה. אבל אתה אומר, אתה מבקר את זה. אתה מבקר את זה.
You said abolished, unlike illegal state. Okay. It doesn't matter if you say it, if it can be easily misconstrued, and most people looking at that statement would agree that what you're making is a genocidal statement, then they win. They win. Two-state solution. Okay? No more of this river to the sea bullshit. Okay? Stop being a useful idiot for Bibi and start speaking from a place of legitimacy here. Because that's not a solution. The annihilation of one side or the other is not a fucking solution. And I refuse to, because your heart's in the right place and you're on the left, I'm just supposed to nod my head. It's a terrible fucking idea.
תשמע, אתה מבקר את זה. אתה יודע. בוגי, טעית. אני לא מקבל את זה. מותר גם להגיד טעיתי. אני חושב שצבא הגנה לישראל צריכה לתת להם מכה שלא כתובה בתורה. אבל אתה אומר לה...
Well, I didn't mean to ban. I meant to time out. Click the wrong button. Creil of Xanath is going to get a 10-minute timeout for playing along with the Israel annihilation narratives, for being a useful idiot for Bibi Netanyahu, and allowing the Israeli government to use Creil of Xanath as an example as to why their violence is necessary. That's why Creil of Xanath is getting a 10-minute timeout. I accidentally clicked ban. My bad.
אבל בלי לפגוע. מה זה לפגוע במי? אין חפים מפשע בעזה? אין, כולם מחבלים.
So there you go. So everyone's a terrorist. Kill them all. Kill them all. Right?
על זה אני חלוק עליך. אתה טועה. יש שם נשים. בוגי, כשהם חטפו לנו את הילדים, הם כולם חיכו להם סוכריות.
This guy, I mean, just loud and energetic, full defense of the murder of women and children. And do we think he's going to even smell the bodies? Is he gonna watch a happy baby being held by a mother, getting riddled with bullets? No, but he's happy to scream about it on TV, and he's happy to support it, and and he on vacation, and he's sleeps like a baby, no problem. But is he going to pull the trigger? Is he going to dig the graves? No, someone else will do that. It's just it's like when you eat a hamburger, you don't really think about the calf getting slaughtered, right? Or the cow, I mean.
היו צריכים להרוג אותם במקום. אני לא שולח חיילי צה"ל להרוג את כולם. אני בא להרוג כולם. רגע,
So he's saying the nation disagrees with you, and the extremists might be correct there.
מריה אלון, אתה יודע שגם הממשלה הנוכחית לא שולחת את חיילי צה"ל ואומרת, תהרגו כל מי שבא ליד, או תהרגו ילדים ונשים, וזאת אמירה מאוד מאוד בעייתית להגיד את זה, וזה לוקח אותי גם לעובדה
The IDF is actively, intentionally shooting children with high-powered American-provided sniper rifles. So
האמירה הזו שלך על אותו תיאור אתני לכאורה במרכאות כפולות ומכופלות.
There's a code of conduct for the IDF, but for the most part, it's a free fire zone. You can kill a toddler, and your commanding officer, you won't even get written up for it.
יצרה סערה גדולה בעולם, יש לך תפקיד מכוח התפקידים שהיית בעבר, צוטטת בכל כלי תקשורת בעולם, זה עשה נזק אמיתי.
מוריה, לשמחתי, מיד אחרי שאמרתי, הוציאו את הכוח הזה, ופתרתי פה בעיה להרבה מאוד אנשים, שכשהם הסתובבו בעולם, ישאלו אותם איפה הם היו.
בוגי, אבל למה הרחבים האלה? על מי אתה מרחם?
Why all this pity? Why all this empathy? Didn't you know we're taking the mask off?
אני לא מסכים איתך,
על מי אתה מרחם? זה כולם שם מחבלים בעזה. על מי
It's
אתה
all terrorists.
מרחם? הם שחטו אותנו.
And of course, what would this man say if anybody were to identify all Israelis as terrorists, right? It would be the most disgusting statement ever made. This is the Palestinian exception writ large. This is what it looks like, you know, because obviously if you were to say that about literally anybody else, that would be horrifically disgusting. Every Irish person's a terrorist, right? This is totally, it'd be, you know, you would be identified as an extremely hateful person, but it's the Palestinian exception. You're allowed to treat Palestinians like animals, just as I need to say this. I'm sorry for the, you know, the Nazi stuff, but it's very, very similar to how Jews were treated in the 18th century, in the 1800s, and, you know, the early 1900s, you know, and it really is shocking, the parallels, because I mean, Jewish people could not catch a break. All these different sides were you know, taking advantage of their status as a pariah and using you know, the Jewish menace as a tool. And it's really shocking to see this, you know, just repeated by people who claim to represent Judaism against, you know, an Arab population. It's totally nuts.
אני מסכים איתך שצריכים לחטוף מכה כשלא כתובה
מה זה
בתורה.
מכה? צריכים למחוק את עזה.
טוב, אתה אומר ככה, אני לא מוכן, לא.
צריך
אני לא
להגיד,
מוכן לקבל.
אני חושבת שצריך להדגיש גם עכשיו שצה"ל עושה,
she
ואתה
said
יודע זאת
empathize.
אולי יותר טוב משנינו, הרבה מאוד מאמצים כדי לא לפגוע באוכלוסייה בלתי מעורבת.
Enough with the pity. Kill children and feel good about it. Come on.
לי אין רחמים, אבל אתה יודע שצה"ל עושה את זה, ולכן האמירה הזאת, גם עכשיו בריאיון, היא אמירה מאוד בעייתית.
היא לא בעייתית, ואני חושב שצה"ל צריך לדעת לנצח ולהישאר בני אדם, ושלא יגיעו
Needs to know how to win while staying human. That's adorable.
כל חיילי צה"ל.
חיילים לא נשארים, צה"ל לא עכשיו לא נשאר בני אדם, חיילי צה"ל לא נשארים בני אדם?
אני ראיתי פרשת
Man, this guy's unbelievably annoying.
מים בפרשת אלאור עזריה, שירה במחבל, פצוע, ואמר שהוא יורה בו כי מגיע לו. זה לא חיילי צה"ל. אם יש סכנת חיים,
בוגי, הם שחטו ילדים. הם שחטו ילדים. אנסו נשים.
אין אחד היום
על מה אתה מדבר, בוגי?
אני לא מקבל את זה.
מה לא מקבל? זה עובדתית, הם שחטו אותנו בשביל
What do you not accept? They butchered us on October 7th. That gives us, and once again, great job, Hamas, right? I mean, this, like I said, with a bow. They gave this narrative over to Bibi wrapped in a bow.
אתה תלך עם הנקמה, נקמה זה לא מצב
מלחמה. זה לא יש נקמה. במלחמה זה מלחמה.
Revenge.
זה מלחמה, אבל
He's right. I mean, he's right. He's definitely correct. I mean, the people that are making this statement are really, you know, are concerned about, you know, what is going to happen to Israel, you know, in 15 years. What is that going to look like if we continue down this path?
מרמטכ"ל לשעבר, שבמלחמה ילך למלחמה.
אני מצפה מדינת ישראל שלא תשלח חיילים להרוג תינוקות.
אבל מדינת ישראל
You know, it's the bar is low. The bar is low.
שולחת חיילי צה"ל. אתה חושב שממשלת ישראל הנוכחית שולחת את חיילי צה"ל כדי להרוג תינוקות בעזה?
אני חושב שברגע שרבנים מדברים על זה שאין חפים מפשע בעזה.
So even she's defending. They don't do that.
מדברים על לפנות, לדלל אוכלוסייה. ואז תהיה נקייה מהערבים וניישב במקום היהודים. זה לא מטרת מלחמה של מדינה שאני רוצה לחיות בה.
טוב, אנחנו חלוקים, זה בסדר.
So even she's bloodthirsty in her own way. Holy shit. This is how Zionists treat Holocaust survivors, right? They're happy to weaponize the Holocaust for their own political purposes. Zionists are. This is what this is not the first time I've seen this kind of behavior against actual people who, you know, they got the fucking tattoo and everything. There's a couple of them still alive, and, you know, they sometimes will, you know, because believe it or not, they actually believe in the never again, unlike Zionists who are never again except when we want to do it again. And, you know, it's pretty wild to see a Holocaust survivor confronting this kind of hatred. And the reaction, you know, the reaction is, would you believe, it's level-headed and it's respectful. That's what it is.
I am a Holocaust. So you need to remember what.
So this pro-Israeli clown. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say horrible things to you anyway. All right. Well, that's a tough one, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
war.
I want to say something to you, though, and that is about what is
Sure.
happening to people in Gaza at the hands of Jews.
Okay, oh yeah. You're just one of those self-hating Jews, right? All those Holocaust survivors, though, you're all the same. This guy who doesn't know how to dress himself, looking like an Ash Ketchum fucking reject.
To people in Gaza.
Grown-ass man dressing like a child.
He's a Holocaust survivor. At the hands of Jews. People are being killed. Jews behaving the way the Nazis behave toward Jews.
Brainwashed.
No, I'm not brainwashed.
I fought in Israel. I fought in Israel.
I would not be proud of this. How many children?
So he actually claims to be an ex-member of the IDF, and he starts bragging about killing kids. I mean, that's just look when you're down there, when you're at the bottom, might as well own it, right?
I killed many. I killed many. Move back. You're not a United States citizen.
Okay, I mean this is the caliber of person we're dealing with. This is a total Elon Musk, if you know what I'm talking about. We got ourselves maybe a little neurodivergent, and no offense to people who are neurodivergent and have their head screwed on straight. Mostly. They're at the very least they understand the difference between right and wrong. Being neurodivergent doesn't give you an excuse to be a sociopath. But yeah, I think we're dealing with a fucking Elon Musk here.
But your numbers. I killed many. Move back. Move back. You're not a United States citizen.
I'll kill you.
Oh, I'm not. Holding that flag in the United States is a
just take it to the propaganda camps, guys.
Well, yes, what if he was holding an Israeli flag? Would that be okay?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's why you're such
Blatant hypocrite. You bet I'm a hypocrite. It's okay because the Palestinians, they don't exist. They're not human beings. Their country doesn't exist, etc., etc. Check.
That doesn't make any sense.
It does. It makes sense, and the president is right there, and he can deport you right away.
Where would he deport me to? Since I was born in this
Deported to
country.
Palestine or El Salvador.
Why are we giving this idiot time? All right, moving on to the next one. Israeli Minister Ben-Gvir was heckled by Israeli expats in a U.S. airport for his refusal of the latest ceasefire and captive deal in Gaza. So pretty interesting stuff. Ben-Gvir, this is exactly how it should be. I probably don't even agree with these protesters. They probably have opinions that I would disagree with in terms of how to deal with Palestinians or what to do about Palestine. But a lot of people have problems with Ben-Gvir because he's like, fuck the hostages. Come on, man. Annihilate this whole region, right? And we'll build some statues for these people, but we're not going to let that get in the way of this grand project of ethnic cleansing. We're happy to weaponize them and happy to exploit them politically, et cetera, but I mean ultimately we're not going to let a couple hostages get in the way of our plans for ethnic cleansing. And some people in Israeli society, they're not cool with that. Right. The blood that she's talking about are hostages, by the way. Like I said, a lot of hostages, I didn't say this before, but I kind of implied, but a lot of people who are supporting the freeing the hostages don't necessarily support freeing Palestine. So he got some shit, got some shit thrown at him. Pretty funny, It's amazing. He gets to facilitate a full ethnic cleansing, and he gets a couple pieces of paper thrown at him. Right? This is the world we live in. So, just more evidence that the West Bank colonization continues. It's great. Like I said before, great time to do it. Now's the time. You got, a patsy like Donald Trump. I mean, he's a great distraction and everything. And he's actually more extreme than Ben-Gvir. Even, he wants let's build a Trump resort. Let's completely ethnically cleanse the area. Let's start making some fucking money. What are we talking about here? Right? He's even more extreme than Ben-Gvir. And, so now's the time to do it. And we continue to see that. Unfortunately, I don't have time to read this article from the Middle East Eye, who's super biased, right? And they just, this isn't really happening. It's fake news, AI generated. Look, you can see, that person has like six fingers. AI generated. Fake news. Don't believe your eyes. Cenk Uygur came out, spoke out against the Palestinian photographer who was, celebrated and then immediately murdered. So he had some choice words, and I thought I would broadcast them once again.
It was a 25-year-old female photojournalist in Gaza. They made a movie about her, and he just got accepted into Cannes Film Festival. Israel murdered her instantly right after that news. Within 24 hours, they dropped a bomb on her and her entire family. They have murdered them all.
Normal shit.
10 people dead in her family, including her pregnant sister. Fatima herself was set to get married in a couple of days. Now she won't, of course, have that wedding. That child will never be born from her sister, and her entire family is dead because she dared to be a journalist.
Killed a pregnant
that is
woman.
Showing the war crimes of Israel. So this is an atrocity, and the one wish that she had in the documentary was that if Israel kills her, and every reporter in Gaza knows that there's a good chance Israel will murder them.
They're targeted.
And let me pause there so that you know that that's not hyperbole. Journalist groups have tracked it. This is the worst killing of journalists in any conflict in recorded history.
Yeah.
And
even worse than World War II, even worse than Vietnam. I mean, really picture the kind of shit going down there. And the reason why is, an intentional targeting. They are being targeted and intentionally murdered, right? It's hard to believe. The Israeli military is using multi-billion, trillion-dollar military satellites, multi-billion-dollar propaganda and social media tracking apparatus, AI robots of all different kinds, multi-million-dollar, to track dissent, to track anybody who claims to be a journalist, who claims to be on the ground, and specifically target and murder them. Yes, this is actually happening. No, come on. These are all mistakes, and this is isolated, and there's got to be a good reason. There's got to be an excuse. Let's wait for the investigation to complete by the Israeli self-investigation. We've heard it all before. The reason why is that they're intentionally targeted. And Homo sapiens, 100% correct. These AI provided systems are, partially responsible for this, the increased efficiency, the increased ability to pinpoint exactly where these dissidents are, exactly where these political criminals are, and assassinate them very quickly.
Israel has killed more journalists in Gaza than all other conflicts in the world combined in the last year. And so this is, they keep saying, we accidentally murdered 15,000 Palestinian children in Gaza. They were just collateral damage. It was all Hamas's fault. Everything is the Palestinians' fault. We had to murder all those Palestinians because the Palestinians made us do it. Did they? Or do you have some sort of moral culpability for all of the genocide that you have committed? And now, of course, the ethnic cleansing as they occupy half of Gaza. They also occupy land in Syria and Lebanon because they're an imperial empire. Yeah. And this has nothing to do with October 7th, which was now literally years ago. This has to do with grabbing land and making sure that the world doesn't know about it. That's exactly why they wanted to shut down TikTok. And Mitt Romney, a Republican senator, and Mark Warner, a Democratic senator, have both admitted that on tape. And we've showed it to you on the Young Turks. You could watch us live 6 o'clock Eastern every day and see the actual footage, the actual receipts.
The man knows what he's doing. Only he could do a triumphant call for Palestinian humanity and fucking squeak in a plug. The man's a total pro, okay? I'll never be able to do that. I'll never be able to. Hey, make sure you tune into the News Underground. Check it out. Like and subscribe, folks. Anyway, check out this footage of a kid starving. Anyway, we're right back to it.
So what Fatima asked of all of us is that if she was murdered by the Israelis, that we not be quiet about it, that we be loud about it. So I'm asking you to be loud about it. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean that we sink to any of the lows of the terrorist state of Israel. We all speak out. We do it politically. We do it rhetorically. But we condemn what Israel has become. Israel has become what they most despised and feared. They feared terrorism. They have become terrorists. They feared genocide. They have become a state committing genocide. And And if you're still delusional enough to believe that this is all an accident and that this was all collateral damage, and golly gee, they meant to kill Hamas, but instead they killed over 51,000 people at a bare minimum, the overwhelming majority of which are innocent people and women and children. No, Israel has to end this, and we have to end all of our funding to Israel. On behalf of Fatima and all the Palestinians.
Children? Don't you mean terrorist nuggets? I don't know. That was terrible. That sucked. I'm not very good at this, dude. I'm going through the whole guide. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to show you all these fucking clips I got, okay? Because this is the equivalent of 2 weeks in Gaza, what we're going through right now. Okay, I know some of this stuff is a little bit old, but this is the equivalent of 2 weeks of chaos and madness. And you know, where do we go from here? Like, are we really going to just kick back in the cut and watch TikTok videos of mass graves and, you know, what, group assassinations and you know, hundreds of people getting shoved forcefully at gunpoint in the back of airplanes and buses and boats and you know, sent to somewhere, you know, fucking anywhere, you know, anywhere but there? Are we really going to just do that? Really? I mean, because like, as long as they, and this is where this goes back to what I was talking about. This is, you know, as long as they keep it at this like dull roar, right? Where they take steps, but not leaps, where they take steps forward. They take a little bit here. They take a little bit there, obfuscate and lie and shame and slow down the conversation and, you know, do whatever they can to control the narrative. You know, they might be able to get away with this, you know, and keep it down to like a few big operations, right? Like, you get to a certain place, you get to a certain point at the West Bank, and you're like, we kind of need to do a siege, you know, we kind of need to, there's no really other way to, we bombed the shit out of it, but we still need to actually occupy it, and we got to flush out the rest of the people that live there. You know, so you just keep it down to a dull roar and just keep the momentum moving forward. And yeah, you're good. You're seemingly good. You know, they were able to do it for decades so far. Oh, by the way, this is a person who just witnessed the bombing of dozens of children. Good timing. It's good timing on this. I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, awkward silence.
نطلع الكاميرات على الصحافه نقول لكم خذونا على الفاضي. ايش نسوي يا زلمه؟ تعبنا احنا تعبنا يا راجل. كلنا يمين بنصحى قصف بنصحى نوم كل نوم ليل نهار قصف يا راجل. حسوا فينا اعتبروهم اولادكم يا زلمه. لو ان اولادكم ايش بتسوي انتم؟ تطلعوا كيف الدم يا راجل؟ دم اطفال. كيف يا راجل؟ دم اطفال. الدم لما بترك على رجال بس خلاص. شوف يا زلمه حسوا فينا تعبنا يا عمي. حسوا فينا وكل مرة بنطلعكم كلكم حسوا فينا بشان الله. احنا تعبنا يا عمي. احنا تعبنا لمين؟ حسوا فينا لمين؟ سنتين بنشكي.
Well, we would consider you human, but, you know, you happen to be born in Palestine, so that gives you a special designation. And, you know, that's just how it goes, man. You guys want to witness 3 seconds of what it's like to live under siege? That is, of course, after a residential apartment building has been completely annihilated by a weapon likely designed and paid for by the American people. Right. What's on Netflix? This is a video of a doctor discovering someone is telling him on the phone that his parents were just killed in an airstrike, and he is asking about the condition and state of their corpses. This is 2 minutes that will absolutely destroy you.
طلعتوهم من مكانهم. فاروق طلعتوهم من مكانهم.
Yeah, I guess so, Homo sapien.
وين قعدتوا اثنين؟ وين حطيتوهم؟ الحاج فيش في نفس خالص؟ وين هو؟
He's trying to keep it together, trying to ask medical questions.
مبهدل حج ولا قطعة واحدة.
Oh my God, man! Now he's asking, you know, is my father even a complete corpse?
وين هواته؟ بالنص قاعد بنعمل تنسيق عشان نجيبه. وين هواة الحج؟ وجهه متشوه؟
Jesus Christ.
حجة.
Jesus fucking Christ. Here he is. He's trying to hold it together, trying to think about, trying to plan the funeral, you know. Am I going to be able to even have an open casket? This is what Israel does.
Alhamdulillah.
This is what Israel does to people.
Alhamdulillah.
God.
يعني بعد زي ما قال لك بعد عمره ضاع شهداء ربنا يتقبل الحمد لله. خالكم مرة خالك استشهدوا. مدينهم ربنا يرحمه. هذول شهداء عند ربنا وين راح؟ ضل الجسد والروح راح اللي خلق. الحمد لله. ربنا يتقبلهم. محمد كويس. محمد اللي شال عنه مرة كان مطلعه.
That's a good point, Homo sapien, you know. Look, man, you got to keep your shit together somehow. You know.
دينهم ربنا يتقبل. الحمد لله. اللهم اجرنا في مصيبتنا واخلفنا خيرا منها.
So there you go. 120 seconds in Gaza. Imagine now being there and not being able to just close the tab. You know what I mean? Not being able to just close and just walk away from the nightmare, you know? Looks like this video has been censored by Reddit. Yep, okay. Moving on. It was just, people, pro-Israeli mob chanting death to Arabs, just usual stuff that never makes it to mainstream media. Dark, here is more evidence that Israel is intentionally targeting children with military-grade weapons, not just drone bombs, but, I mean, imagine you, just put yourself in the shoes of an IDF sniper. You have an extremely expensive and technological sniper rifle that is able to pinpoint like a laser beam, put a bullet exactly where you're pointing. It's a marvel of technology. It's taken decades of human ingenuity to create such a magnificent tool, of destruction. And then you put that sight on a toddler or a baby, or even a 13-year-old boy or girl, and then you pull the trigger, and then you do that all day. And then you do that multiple times. This is what's happening. This is the reality of it. It's hard to empathize with monsters like that, but it is, for me, I think it's a healthy exercise sometimes to think about, what kind of levels of self-delusion do you have to engage in to perform an activity like that and not immediately vomit and, remind yourself that you're human. How do you shut that off? What do you have to do to shut that off? How easy is that, and how long can you maintain that? I guess those are things that I think about. But anyway, here's a doctor describing the various sniper wounds that he's been seeing on the battlefield.
You're saying that children in Gaza are being shot by snipers.
Definitively. I have 2 children that I have photographs of that were shot so perfectly in the chest I couldn't put my stethoscope over their heart more accurately, and directly on the side of the head in the same child. No toddler gets shot twice by mistake.
Yeah, twitching, and Hamas was happy to give them that. The worst resistance group I've ever seen in my life. I don't even call them resistance. They're kidnappers. They're terrorists. They're ignorant tyrants, Hamas, and they were happy to play the patsy for Bibi Netanyahu.
Mistake by the world's best sniper, and they're dead center shots. All of the disasters I've seen combined, 40 mission trips, 30 years, ground zero, earthquakes, all of that combined doesn't equal the level of carnage that I saw against civilians in just my first week in Gaza.
It's intentional.
And when you say civilians, is it mostly children?
almost exclusively children. I've never seen that before. Never seen that. I've seen more incinerated children than I've ever seen in my entire life combined. I've seen more shredded children in just the first week.
Shredded?
Shredded.
What do you mean?
Missing body parts, being crushed by buildings, the greatest majority, or bomb explosions, the next greatest majority. We've taken shrapnel as big as my thumb out of 8-year-olds, and then there's sniper bullets. I have children that were shot twice.
Good old double taps. I mean, Homo sapien, of course, you know, oftentimes resistance movements must defend themselves, and, you know, oftentimes that tool is violence. Where would the American Revolution be without violence, right? It's all about context. And, you know, I feel very firm saying this: Hamas is not a legitimate resistance movement. Hamas is a petty group of political tyrants that are happy to be useful idiots for Bibi Netanyahu, for an organization much more clever than they are. And, you know, I think one of the big reasons why we're seeing Hamas, you know, capable of just never leaving and never learning any lesson is that the leaders of the organization, they're living high on the hog in Saudi Arabia, man. They're not even there. They're not even fucking there. So it's tough, but without a doubt, fascistic, tyrannical, authoritarian elements love to take violence out of context, and, you know, they understand the power of you know, using you know, images of violence, even if they coax it out of them, right? They're interested that, you know, they can manipulate the story. So we, you know, leftist movements need to be aware of how you know, how power takes advantage of those situations, no doubt about it. Just to keep this moving as quickly as possible. Sorry, folks, we're almost through this. Israeli police permit anti-war protests on condition of no child Gaza photos. So this is kind of interesting. So this is, I believe, inside Israel, they were allowed to protest against the genocide. They just were not allowed to show images of children with sniper bullets and whatnot. It's interesting to me because here we have a clear and firm example that Israel knows what it's doing is wrong, and they desperately want to control the images, you know, coming out, and that's why they have this campaign against journalism. I wish I had the time to read all these articles to you personally. I've read most if not all of them. Thank you, honey. Oh my God, thank you, baby. Bowl of delicious, freshly homemade chili with a fucking sleeve of saltines, boys. That's how we get her done on this motherfucker, right? My beautiful wife handed me that warm bowl of chili. But here's the article right here if you want to read it. Just to keep this motherfucker moving, here we go. Chili and chips. It's so good, right? I mean, the corn chips are the best, but I can't be eating that much sodium, right? So, you know, I got the low sodium saltines over here. UN says its food stocks in Gaza completely depleted amid Israeli blockade. So just more evidence that this is happening, more evidence that this is intentional. We've kind of belabored the point, right? So we'll just keep her moving. Here, the horrors continue. Israeli soldiers mock Palestinian school destroyed by Israeli attacks in Gaza. So here we have IDF soldiers filming themselves celebrating the destruction of innocence, the destruction of children. You know, I wish it was just this, but, you know, this is the reason why they're so comfortable doing this is because their commanding officers tell them to kill kids every day, you know? Isn't it great? Yeah, that's so good. And yeah, make you kill all the Jewish people, blah blah blah. That's because that's what they're taught, right? Because that's the propaganda is that from birth, you know, they're taught to hate Israelis, taught to hate Jewish people. And like a lot of things, there's a mixed truth there. Ironically, in Israeli society, you know, we see indoctrination of children immediately. So it's one of those things that it's happening, but it's also more complicated than on the surface of what's happening. Because yeah, Palestinian children are told that they're under siege, that they are under attack from Israel. And some teachers, take it too far. Hamas is happy to encourage this kind of stuff, but it is ironic that this narrative runs through Israeli society when in Israeli society it's considered totally normal to to at a very young age to tell children to hate the Palestinian in a myriad of ways. It's a funny skit. Jerry Lee Lewis. Funny stuff. Funny stuff. Hey, go ahead and bulldoze another graveyard, guys. Once again, people far more intelligent than me, far more, deserving of airtime than I ever could be. Israeli historian Avi Shalom charted Zionism's political journey from the founding of Israel as a settler colonial state to the perpetuation of genocide in Gaza. He accuses Israel of turning Gaza into a wasteland and mass grave and holds the U.S. and UK responsible for supporting their war crimes. Please, I think this is the last large clip that I have.
As the White House court.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, okay. I can cover this at a different one. Yeah, so I do want to hear. God, this is terrible. This is really hard to watch. Okay. Yep. We don't need that one. Yep. This is irrelevant. And we got this bad guy. Okay. God, this is hard. I don't have time to show this entire 5-minute clip. Let's go ahead and keep it down to 2 minutes, and then we'll move on to the final clips.
Israel is a settler colonial state, and the logic of settler colonialism is the elimination of the natives in order to take over the land and its resources. And this is what Israel is doing, not just in Gaza, but in the West Bank as well. The aim of the Zionist movement from the beginning was to establish a Jewish state on as large a part of historic Palestine as possible, with as few Arabs inside its borders as possible. This is what they are doing today in both Gaza and the West Bank. Israel is not part of the region, and it's never wanted to be part of the region, but Israel has never been as alienated from its regional environment as it is today. In the past, Israeli leaders used to claim that their aim is peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. Today, it's quite clear that Israel's aim is not coexistence, but domination and military supremacy.
So you get the point. The whole, this is the guy that's done the homework, okay? And he approached it from an academic standpoint, tried to cut through the BS, and he says definitively, without without question, this is it started off as a settler colonialist experiment. That received legitimacy from Western powers after World War II, etc. Right? There's a history of these negotiations. The governments that have represented Palestine haven't always been perfect, but the main X factor has always been the refusal of the Israeli state to acknowledge the legitimacy of Palestine. And really, as we can see now with history and hindsight giving us clarity, we can see that this was always an effort to just buy time, to stretch it out as they continue the settler colonialist experiment, right? To continue to take chunks and chunks and chunks, while cashing them checks, baby. So here's the last images of child suffering I'm going to show you today. We have let's go ahead and just do one more starving Palestinian child. And then we will do the story of a Palestinian boy who was sitting on his father's lap when Israel bombed the building. And there's actually video of his body being flung from the building. And miraculously, he has survived. So we'll go ahead and get to that clip after this one. So this, she's happy to get pasta and eat. beautiful stuff. Boy, you know, and it's like they're so unstable with those fucking bowls of food, and you're like, oh my god, don't spill a fucking inch. Oh my god, don't spill an ounce. I mean, you know, oh Jesus. But you know that a little bit of happiness in the pain and suffering. This beautiful girl smiling and singing. You know, nice to see. So we're not going to watch this whole thing here, but just a little bit of it. Like I said, this young man was sitting in his father's lap when he was completely obliterated by Israel, and somehow he survived.
يعني هذه صورة الطفل علي فقد 5 من أفراد عائلته، 5 من إخوته، فقد والده. يعني هذا الطفل كل العالم شاف صورته، وإنه طار من منزله من الطابق الخامس لمنزل جيرانه. علي شاور بإيده للعالم إنه يسمعوا صراخه، بس العالم ما سمع. كيف حالك يا علي؟
حضن أبويا. أنا وقعت، لما وقعت غرست تحت الرمل.
وقعت على دار جيرانكم، وبعدها لقيت حالك في المستشفى. الله يفرجها يا رب.
So he was sitting on his father's lap, and then the floor disintegrated, and all of a sudden he found himself collapsing on top of his neighbor's house. Unbelievable trauma. I can't help but point out the irony of, the toy that was given to him is such a jingoistic statement of American superiority, you know, lying right next to him, all proud and stoic, Superman, you know, heroic, you know, and strong. What would Superman say about the United States funding this devastation? I truly believe, if you know anything about the character, he would probably scoop up all of Israel's weapons and dump them into the sun, right? And what would Israel call Superman, right? You know, a terrorist, right? That'd be so ironic. All right, so, you know, the suffering continues. If you want to watch the rest of this, feel free. There's the link. Last little bit here, Yale students have relaunched their protest against apartheid, against genocide. This is the big scary anti-Semites taking over campuses across America. Well, here's what it looks like when these disgusting deviants get together and try to proclaim that Palestinians are human beings. Can't have it. We will not stop, we will not rest this close. We will not stop, we will not rest this close. We will not stop, we will not rest this close. We will not stop. You know, one of the big reasons why we see authoritarians and tyrants target universities and students so early, often very early in their regimes, is that they're often hotbeds of dissent, and they can often trigger revolutions and pushback against undemocratic actions. So that's why you often see efforts to clamp down on student activity, student protesting very harshly, very quickly. And of course, Donald Trump, it's funny because he doesn't read history. This stuff just comes natural to him. It's just like, these students, it's kind of a hotbed of anti-Trump sentiment. We got to shut it down. You know, very interesting. It just comes natural to him. I don't have time to show you this, but I did want to point out that it's pretty. I mean, you gotta have a pretty bad situation for MSNBC to send their B team, and that's this Ayman fellow. They often get, they did this with Mehdi Hassan as well. You know, they kind of just they get a more progressive brown guy to actually talk about some real news to provide them with cover, but they do it off primetime. You know, Morning Joe gets the primo fucking slots. You know what I mean? Wolf Blitzer gets the motherfucking golden slots, right, when everyone's watching. But 11 o'clock at night, maybe we'll actually do some real news for a couple minutes. I don't know. Again, we'll talk about how Israel is weaponizing anti-Semitism, but don't send too many emails. We won't do it at prime time, okay? So it's just kind of interesting, MSNBC doing a thing right here. And I actually was going to do a live reaction, but I simply don't have time. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the Discord and watch it myself later. God, and that's like 3 hours. There it is, 3 fucking hours. God damn it. I can't do this quickly. This is so hard to do this like quickly, man. There's so much fucking news. It's unbelievable. You know there's news on Sunday now? You know, Sunday? There shouldn't be news on a Sunday. Right? We should be talking about what happened in the week before and drinking tea and stuff, and not this, not major breakthroughs. Anyway, folks, before we move on to more news, I want to remind you that if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, there's news on Saturday, but if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, make sure you follow my 3-step program to create political change. Step 1, we inform ourselves. That's what we do here at the News Underground. Congratulations. Sorry, chili burps, delicious. Step 2, we show up, sign up, right? We find an organization we like. We find a march that we like, whatever it is. Because step 3, we got to put in the work like Charlie Kirk. We got to work just as hard as Steve Bannon is. Okay, it's the only way to defeat fascists is to work hard like they do, because there's one thing that they do, and they work hard, man. They are obsessed losers dedicated to the destruction of democracy. You know, and a lot of them, like Nick Fuentes and stuff, they have fantasies about government-provided girlfriends and other fucking insanities. So they need to be destroyed. They need to be defeated politically. Okay, let's keep the fucking. All right, let's keep that to ourselves. All right, they need to be defeated politically. Moving on over to world news, we have actually breaking news. Mr. Beast did a really funny experiment out in the Congo, really expanding his brand. I thought we'd open up world news by talking about Mr. Beast and his latest viral experiment. Let's take a look.
100 men versus a single adult gorilla. The highly anticipated event, organized by YouTuber Mr. Beast, ended in tragedy today.
What? We had a whole plan. Gary made a PowerPoint.
Authorities are calling the incident a gross lapse in judgment. Mr. Beast, however, referred to it as a banger.
He went through 87 of us with ease. He's like
a banger.
The Bonnie Blue of gorillas.
The event, dubbed Harambe's Revenge, started as a simple internet debate.
Someone on the internet said gorillas get tired fast. Guess what? He didn't. He didn't even yawn.
The rules were simple: no weapons, no armor, and victory declared only if the gorilla was fully subdued.
At one point, someone yelled, "Form a circle." He spun through us like a Beyblade. Dude activated a Super Smash Brothers finisher.
Mr. Beast claimed this was his most epic challenge yet, with contestants reportedly offered $10,000 or a Tesla.
They said he'd be intimidated. Nope. He made direct eye contact with me and smiled like a dentist. At one point, he looked bored.
Witnesses say the first casualty occurred within 8 seconds of the starting whistle.
We lost wave 3 pretty early. We thought we could all just pile on. Bro wore us like a backpack. It was like Squid Games, except only 4 Asian guys died.
Selections were based entirely on online applications and Reddit upvotes.
We didn't account for the part where you could punch through a man's sternum like a Capri Sun. I wasn't in the PowerPoint.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, maybe AI wasn't a massive mistake. And this is funny too, the headline, 50 men versus a hippo, which is even funnier because if you don't know anything about hippos, you might have the idea that they're, cute animals from your animal crackers, box. They are vicious killers, hippos. They kill human beings every single year. They drag you into the water like vicious predators, man, and they fucking feast on your human meat. Hippos are deadly, okay? It's hard to believe, but they are deadly, and they love the taste of human meat. They do. They do, dude. Oh, it's crazy.
The BBC has evidence.
All right, so moving on to our next story here. Myanmar, BBC witnesses army breaking ceasefire following devastating earthquake. So I'd just like to point out, BBC is actually capable of doing journalism. They are capable of putting themselves in the line of fire and doing this. And don't think for a second that there aren't journalists working for the BBC that would drop everything and risk their life to go cover what's happening in Gaza. But BBC intentionally follows along with the Israeli narrative and they assist Israel in their genocide and in apartheid by doing, you know, professional obfuscation in the way that they do. Just like to remind you that the BBC is fully capable of doing real journalism. They are intentionally not doing journalism in Gaza for political reasons, yada yada. Mike Tyson offered $50K to a zookeeper to fight a gorilla once. I remember that. I remember hearing that story. He would have gotten his ass kicked. You know, he would have gotten his ass kicked straight up. I mean, it's like, you know, have you ever seen a bear that's been shaved of its hair? You know what I mean? And it's just this gangly monster made up of muscle. That's kind of the same thing with a gorilla. All right, anyway, let's get to the story over here. Myanmar frontline. So Myanmar is recovering after a major natural disaster. And then on top of that, there's a military junta fighting a legitimate rebel, like, you know, like good guy rebel versus the evil empire kind of situation happening in Myanmar. But on top of that, they're also recovering from a massive natural disaster. I mean, you can't write this stuff. I've been reading a little bit more. You know, fiction doesn't even get close to this. It just doesn't even touch this stuff. The Hunger Games ain't got shit on IRL. Welcome back, Crail of Xanath. I'm sorry we butted heads, but, you know, I did what I did.
The BBC has evidence that the ceasefire in Myanmar, which followed last month's earthquake there, is being repeatedly broken by its military rulers. Yeah. Thousands of people died in the quake, and the truce was agreed to help recovery efforts. But the military has continued to launch attacks, killing both rebel fighters and civilians alike. Well, our correspondent, Quentin Somerville, and camera journalist Lee Durant travelled undercover to Myanmar's rebel-held areas, the first broadcast journalist to do so since the earthquake.
Right. You notice how he said broadcast journalists? Because there's actual lots of legitimate journalists there, but, you know, they're not the BBC. Whoa, I don't see how many broadcasts of Mr. Bean that you've done, so sorry, not legitimate.
The thick jungles of Karenni State are a sanctuary for those resisting military rule. Even here, far from the earthquake's epicenter, parts of the forest were swallowed whole. When the ground shook, locals thought it was another junta bombing raid. Aftershocks still come daily.
Man, you're fighting a war in this shit, dude.
At the Sacred Heart of Jesus Church, it was as if the sky fell in. The quake brought down the roof and church steeple.
Not a sign or anything? Is that a sign? No, that's not a sign. No. It's only a sign when two gay guys have sex with each other. That's a sign. That's why we got the hurricane. But no. God fucks your church over? Nah, I mean, come on, everyone makes mistakes.
The quake brought down the roof and church steeple. Repairs came quickly in time for Easter. A miracle that none were hurt, they say.
Wow, no one was hurt. That is a miracle.
The congregation survived nature's wrath, and here there was hope that the promised ceasefire might bring them a deeper peace from Myanmar's long civil war.
This is cute. I remember seeing this when I was watching these videos. That's cute.
We travelled north to the frontline town of Mobe in Shan State to see how the truce was holding.
This is pretty wild. This is wild footage.
It's a slow start for these young rebel fighters. They're from here. This is their home. They've lived and breathed this rebellion for the past few years. Like other resistance groups, they say they've stopped all attacks.
Look at the condition of that ammo, by the way. I thought initially they were like trying to pick through the bad ones and, try to avoid I think they're just reloading magazines. This is just what they have.
Like other resistance.
But look at the fucking condition of this fucking ammo, dude. This was produced by Stalin, okay? He was just in the factory stamping them out, okay? This shit is older than you and me combined. Maybe not Lenny. Sorry, Lenny.
Groups, they say they've stopped all attacks to help people recover from the quake.
This ammo.
But Myanmar's military rulers haven't laid down arms. Their front lines are just 100 metres from the military base. They keep a wary eye on the junta forces within. Their 23-year-old commander Stefano says the military's promised truce is worthless.
Because
They said they want a ceasefire, but they continued attacks by using all means. Not only soldiers on the ground, but with drones and fighters too. Our comrades on the other gate experienced airstrike twice after the ceasefire announcement.
This is wild to me because it's not as hot as Ukraine. It's serious business. People are dying, but it's also a little. Am I allowed to say that it's like a little bit more casual? I'll show you another example of like this is, you know, it's. I'm not saying this like, you know, this isn't a legitimate resistance, but it is kind of interesting how this is kind of like. I think they're trying. I think this resistance movement is just trying to kind of starve out this junta and you know, and just and show that, you know, this is going to be an intractable quagmire and that you're going to need to find another solution. That, you know, you're not going to be able to shoot your way out of this one. I don't know. It just seems a little bit more. It's not as it's serious, but it's not as hot as Ukraine. I mean, there's mortars and machine gun fire, right?
The next morning, the attack comes again, as we saw close up for ourselves. It sounds like mortars.
Nice
Here, the
video
junta
quality,
attacks
BBC,
daily.
720.
There is no ceasefire.
Heads down, so with the head down, like head down.
So this is what I'm talking about right here. Check this out.
The junta's forces.
So what the fuck we got? This is like the forward operating trench right here. We got a fucking sun chair. We got chairs and shit. We're chilling out. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm not trying to diminish anything. I'm just saying, like, it's a different kind of fight than what we're seeing. This kind of reminds me of Vietnam, like how American soldiers set themselves up when it was just like, I don't, you know, a little bit like Vietnam. The motivations here are totally different.
Are just across this road.
It's a different kind of war, though. It's different.
Here we go.
Let's go. You got the sun chairs
And
out.
they tried to launch a sneak attack on the rebels.
Another chair in the trench.
We
Get that
moved
shit out of
closer
there.
to the base.
Hey, careful. Phil's got a Lego set that he's building over at this other end of the trench. Don't disturb it. Make sure you walk around it when you're avoiding gunfire, okay, guys? Come on.
Those explosions.
He's building the Death Star.
That gunfire you can hear. It's pretty close. Sounds like a localized fire, but it isn't. The regime is targeting not just these men and these lines, but the entire region, towns, villages,
civilians,
and civilians.
Yeah, intentionally.
The young
killing
rebels
civilians.
say the only.
But they don't have enough. They don't have enough to sustain a real terror campaign. You know, it's like I think it does. There's a desperation to what the junta is doing.
Fire back when attacked, but the junta has been bombing daily.
Homies in sandals, dog. Homies in fucking flip flops. Not even Crocs. Those are tactical sandals, okay? Listen to the flips. You can actually hear the flipping and the flopping.
Rebels say they only fire back when attacked, but the junta has been bombing daily and indiscriminately.
I heard those flip flops of flippy flopping. Man, this is so wild. I couldn't imagine.
On far from the front lines, deeper in the jungle, more evidence of the breakdown in the ceasefire. Here, hidden from military warplanes and drones, a secret hospital. The staff helped earthquake victims, but are again treating the war wounded.
Ooh, I don't know if I can show this. Hold on, hold the phone. Let me go ahead. I don't think Jeff Bezos wants me to show someone getting a bullet dug out of their shoulder. So we're just going to go ahead and skip that part.
There's been no let up.
It's shrapnel. It's shrapnel. But yeah, you can see his finger getting in the wound, dude. Ooh, ouch.
The bloodshed.
Ooh, that doesn't
This
look
man
good.
was hit in this morning's raid on rebel lines. Shrapnel
Ooh,
from
that's
a
a lot of
government
blood. I
mortar
can't show you
has
this.
entered his
The screen is covered in fucking bloody gauze and drips of blood right now. I can't show
Shoulder.
you this. Okay, this I can show. Okay. All right, we're all healed up. It's
He's
all
lost
good.
a lot of blood, but he's going to be okay.
Yikes.
The doctor in charge is Thi Hatun. He has little patience for what he calls the junta's lies.
They only care about their own interests.
Yeah, meat shield.
They
Yeah.
will only care
You know, that's a
about
good point. A good guerrilla resistance is probably, mostly equipped in sandals, So what am I talking about? Some of the major military victories have been people wearing sandals.
their own organization.
Oh, interesting,
They
meat
do
shield.
not
Thank you for that
care
recommendation.
about the rest of this country, their own generation,
the youth, the elderly, anything.
နောက်တစ်ခုအသက်ကြီးတဲ့တက်ကြီးရွယ်တွေတွေ့ရောတခုဟိုမှာဘယ်လို queue ဆိုင်မှာမဟုတ်ဆိုတော့
In the farms around Mobier, rockets and shells from the hunters' base rained down regardless of the ceasefire. We arrived here after 4 hit. These families have moved from the town to be out of harm's way from the war.
Jesus Christ, I'm getting Vietnam flashbacks over here, man. This is just terrible. It's always the civilian. It's always the civilian that has to deal with this. It's never just the armies.
60-year-old woman was killed. Every night they sleep here, an air raid shelter built under the floor of a bamboo home.
It's got a little baby. No.
The wreckage here comes from the war, not the quake, and casualties too. 4 men died in an airstrike here 2 days into the ceasefire.
No problem,
And here,
Michiel.
Kala, a 45-year-old farmer, was killed in an artillery strike on this store on the same day. I met his widow Mala. She's 7 months pregnant.
When the shells started to land, we were all at the front of the house. Then, shells landed near us. We tried to move and we hid at the back of the house, but he stayed where he was. The artillery shell landed and exploded near him. He died in the place where he thought he was safe. He was a good man and a good husband.
And she's pregnant with his child. Jesus, man. Real tragedy right
Despite the earthquake, the war in Myanmar has not missed a beat. And here on the front lines, they sing songs of victory and say the only ceasefire they will trust will come with a junta's defeat. Quentin Somerville, BBC News, Mobier, Myanmar.
And you know, I gotta point out that cynical attitude
they will trust
is totally deserved, right? Like this has been a long time coming, and a lot of promises made, and a lot of promises, totally broken. Their attitude towards this establishment is totally justified. You know, peace. There was an opportunity to make peace, to find reconciliation. No more. The more I understand about Myanmar, the more I understand is that the resistance was necessary, that this was a totally untenable situation, and it absolutely deserves a full-blown resistance. You know, I truly believe that this is a just resistance happening over there in Myanmar. Over to the UK, talking about the land of Mr. Bean. Oh boy, bring your fucking tea and biscuits, folks, okay? Is that what you bring instead of your popcorn? One-term Kiir, okay, we're not talking about Kiir this time, but this is crazy to me, because like all these politicians have the gift of hindsight. They don't even have an excuse, okay? They can see what's happening, okay? Labour Party in Canada saw what was happening, okay? The Liberal Party in Australia saw what was happening, and they adjusted appropriately to go after this, okay? The Labour Party and the Tory Party in the UK have no fucking clue what is going on, man. They are completely stuck in a rut. And I mean, come on, we gotta shake the complacency out of Keir Starmer, because here, what do we have? Just as feared, Nigel Farage's group of xenophobic, filled with propaganda and lies and all kinds of, half-truths about the reality of the situation. Well, he's winning. He's winning. He's winning with the old populist grift. Be afraid. I can do everything better. You won't believe the prosperity once you get me and my guys in charge. You know, hey, aren't we living through that in America right now? Yes, we are. Right? Nigel Farage is taking that MAGA template, and the reason why he's succeeding, once again, And here's the word. We're going to say it. I'm going to fucking say it. Here we go. The reason why is because neo-fucking-liberals leave the door wide open for fascism. They just, they get stuck in their rut, right? They get a couple decades of good economic activity. They think they know everything. It's the end of history, says Fukuyama. And here we are. They just don't get it. What do we see here in the United States with the Democrats? It's like they're out to fucking lunch. And yeah, eventually we will get to U.S. news. I haven't done any U.S. news today yet, but eventually we will get to it. Conservatives suffer major loss in 2025 local elections. If they need to change everything, and what are the conservatives going to do? They're going to try to become like Nigel Farage. They're not going to try to, try to find a difference in opinion with the Labor and go a different direction. The Tories, they're going to see this and they're going to be like Sieg Heil, Elon salute all day. And of course, what do the Labor Party need to do? They need to govern because they're in charge. So that means enough of this, raising taxes and austerity and refusing to tax the rich and just doing the same old neoliberal shuck and jive, talking about growth that might happen in the future, literally putting your entire administration on this pedestal of growth and then crossing your fingers that the economy does what you want it to do. Chat's in slow mode? Probably not. I'm probably in fucking, I'm probably about to get banned for showing a bunch of kids suffering. But anyway, this is an opportunity for the Labor Party, right, to be like, you don't want this. Look what's happening in America. Look what's happening, and when you embrace conservatism, et cetera, et cetera. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. What they're once again, like a neoliberal establishment does, they're setting expectations. They're trying not to overpromise. You remember how bad Brexit? They're not even saying Brexit. Sorry. Remember how bad the Tories were, and Tories are bad, and we're not Tories, so that's okay. They're leaving themselves wide open to be decapitated by Nigel Farage and his band of extremists with Reform UK. This is bad news. This is bad news for UK politics, and it needs to be stopped. And somebody, please, please tell Keir Starmer what the hell's going on. I know he's never been wrong, okay? But maybe some way convince him that he's right and this was his idea to be more progressive and tax the rich. And that's the thing about neoliberals, though. They'll go right down with the ship, man. They'll go right down with the ship, fully defending the rich and the oligarchy while marching into oblivion, okay? It told me your message wasn't sent because you're sending you are. You're spamming my chat, Davey. Okay? You got to slow it down. Slow your roll, buddy. Slow your roll. Anyway, Labor Party, Tory Party, I mean, getting, behind the eight ball. Now all of a sudden it's getting real. Maybe, and once again, like I said, what's their solution going to be? Because Cami Badenoch is already like super xenophobic, happy to vilify trans people and gay people, right? But no, they're going to go harder. They're going to go harder. That's what we're going to see from the Conservative Party is even more racism, even more xenophobia. That's what their solution is to this.
From Lincolnshire to Oxfordshire. From Lincolnshire to Oxfordshire and in other shires around the country, defeat for the Conservatives.
Fucking shires.
Grimsby turned from the Tories to Labour last year. Now it's Reform making strides in the region.
Yeah.
At the moment, they seem to be singing the right songs for the country. And that appeals to people.
I think that Reform they'll be able to make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Because the others can't.
Right.
They're just selfish, lying.
I like Nigel Farage.
But
I think he's for the UK in general. He's got some good beliefs. He wants to progress. He believes in England a bit more, doesn't he?
Folks, what we just witnessed is called vibe-based politics, okay? This is populist politics. James O'Brien on the LBC cooks these motherfuckers every single day in a fucking oven. These guys, they don't have facts. They have feelings. They got, he feels patriotic and, and And he's going to be good for the country. Ignore his full-blown support of Brexit. Ignore the scandals. Ignore the people in his orbit that are wildly corrupt or frightening in other ways. Ignore all that stuff.
He wants to progress. He believes in England a bit more, doesn't he?
From this senior Tory, an acknowledgement of the bleak situation.
It is painful and it is difficult for us, but I think we have to put this into the context of where we are as a party. Where we are as a political party, we had the worst ever general election result last year for my party in our history. And so we are rebuilding. We are absolutely rebuilding.
Other MPs are privately more scathing of Kemi Badenoch, accusing her of not setting out a vision to sell the nation or building a proper campaigning machine. Home to the ruins of the town's castle, Kenilworth is Warwickshire's last remaining Conservative MP too. But the Tories have now lost...
Oh, holy shit, female eunuchs. I just realized, oh no, oh my God. Woo! Good thing we're not in the Gaza section anymore. Woo! Dodged a bullet there. Good tip. Yeah, I think I'm going to follow your advice.
Control of the county council here, under siege on several fronts. Warwickshire really shows the big problem the Conservatives have. Here and further south, they're losing support to the Lib Dems, while in the north of the county, it's reform that's the threat. Two separate parties hoovering up disillusioned Tories from opposite ends of the political spectrum. There are plenty of marginal constituencies in this part of the Midlands, so for the Tories, losing here means you're likely losing everywhere.
They just need to regroup, don't they, and get some street cred back. That's all.
Yeah, you're down with the streets. What? Street cred? What? Not a policy to be seen, dude. I mean, the policies are on the moon, okay? It's just vibes all the way, bro. Vibes of it's all about make UK great again.
Reform have got to prove themselves. They're very good at speaking, but we'll have to see what they can do.
I did vote for Boris once, which was Conservative, when he promised to cut down on immigrants, which he didn't. It's the only time I voted Conservative. It was for Boris.
Reform. Right, yeah. Immigrant, terrible. Yeah, terrible stuff. People on boats, man. It's ruining the UK. Yep. Look, honesty, truth, objective reality, none of these things matter anymore, okay? And Keir needs to make a big show of it. We need a big show of it. Not brutality, but we gotta find real solutions. We gotta find real solutions here. Yeah, Homo sapien. Yeah, sus is an understatement. Okay, they're UK MAGA.
This time,
yes, reform this time.
Yeah. Feels like a lot of people are turning away from the main parties towards some of those smaller ones.
We're disenchanted with what's gone on. Firstly, with all the whole Conservative thing, and then what the Labour Party have done since they got in.
So as the Lib Dems swallow up...
What has the Labour, according to public sentiment, what has the Labour Party gone in? Off an election filled with all kinds of lofty promises. It's been a bunch of austerity and just one more turd in your cornflakes, turd after turd in your cornflakes. And just a refusal, absolute refusal to even consider taxing the rich, right? It's it's going to come out of your wallet, middle class. It's going to hurt you, lower class. We're just going to have to take more sacrifices here. I know there's multi-billionaires making obscene amounts of money in this country, but they are simply untouchable. The only solution is to make your pathetic life even more painful, just a little bit more. And just a reminder, make sure you vote for me in a couple years. Make sure you vote for me. I know I told you I was going to give you the moon and stars, and I didn't deliver anything. All I delivered was, higher taxes. It's a generalization, but that is the narrative that is dominating right now. And it's, the neoliberals are in charge. Keir's in charge. Okay. You're steering this ship that, if you're not able to take advantage of that, then your political party deserves to be defeated.
Swathes of Middle England and Reform continue their advance. What can the Tories do? Conservative MPs want action, but this Tory pollster says it will take time.
I think the first pressure for the Conservatives will be to come up with more clear policies. I was absolutely clear from day one that the Conservatives were going to lose a lot of seats because they were defending so many from 2021. And as I say, turning a supertanker around takes a long time.
Time may be on the Tories' side, but the party seems surrounded. The route out far from clear.
It's really wild to me because, you know, what did we see in Canadian politics and just most recently Australian politics? And I think I have a clip pertaining to that. But what did we see? They, you know, it was when the fantasy of MAGA during the election, right, when it was all promises and it looked really good, and especially compared to Joe Biden and how weak he looked, and oh, maybe this is the solution, and like, oh, this is the new conservative renaissance. You know, when it was all promises, it was like really exciting to be part of. But then as soon as we saw what the governing looks like, what Trump looks like when he's in charge, when these ideas are actually put into full swing, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's incredibly destructive, incredibly xenophobic, and you know, it hurts a lot of people, and they're not informed. They actually don't know what they're doing. It was all lies. The triggered liberals were actually right on this, and we've seen a big leftward shift in Australian and Canadian politics because they're seeing that. Keir can't do anything with that. The Labour Party can't do anything with that. It's like time is frozen over there. Everyone gets a view at what MAGA-style politics does, and yet Nigel Farage is still getting dubs. This extreme right-wing politics is still winning. And once again, it's the failure of the other parties that are there to provide any kind of alternative. You have to govern. You have to govern. And Keir, you got to piss off some rich people. No, please, no, don't do it, no. Please, Keir, please. Piss off a couple rich people. Oh, they're going to leave my country. They're going to leave. Oh, no, they're going to leave. If I don't understand why it's good for them to be here if they're contributing nothing while they're here. And, you know, and so leave. If you're already contributing nothing, you know, sucking the resources out, what? Okay, then leave. If you just refuse to contribute more, and you're already sucking us dry, I don't understand what the problem is if you leave us, right? If the parasite leaves the host. Yeah, so I queued it up right. I did my job. So here we have the Australian electoral victory. And once again, this, you know, just like what happened here in Canada, it's really fascinating because, I mean, you know, this is Donald Trump's dream come true. It's all about Trump. It's all Trump everywhere, every country, everything, all the time. It's all Trump for good or bad. And in this case over here in Australian politics, good for the left, bad for the right. You know, we got this Australian politician that was like, oh, I'm the Australian version of Donald Trump. And man, I tell you, we're going to make Australia great again. And I'm going to Mar-a-Lago next week to give him a fresh beach. And you wouldn't believe how much I'm like Donald Trump. And then he got in charge and immediately, you know, and then everyone's like, whoa, war with Canada? What? Occupying Greenland? What the fuck is going on? And it immediately became a political liability for these fucking grifters that were like, I'm Donald Trump of my country, and it was working for them politically until bop, dude, until it fucking slammed into a wall at 90 miles an hour, dude. The whole thing, as soon as people saw what MAGA is like when it comes to actually governing, bop, dude, slam, it stopped, okay, and it became a political liability to be your country's version of Trump. It's fascinating because, as we've seen in Canada, the political fortunes invert almost instantly within a span of weeks, and you never see this kind of shit in politics, right? It's a game of momentum. It's a game of, like, you know, it's a longer kind of game that you play, and very rarely do you see things like this happening where it just shifts on a dime. So politically, it's very exciting. So let's get this news from Australia. I'm going to go get an energy drink because that's what I need. I need more fucking caffeine. Let's go, baby. I'll be right back.
It had felt like a tight race, but in the end, Anthony Albanese and the Labour Party comfortably voted in for another 3 years.
In this time of global uncertainty, Australians have chosen optimism and determination. Australians have chosen to face global challenges the Australian way.
Liberal National Coalition leader Peter Dutton not only lost the election, but also lost his seat. It was, in the words of Australians, an absolute thumping.
Now, we didn't do well enough during this campaign. That much is obvious tonight, and I accept full responsibility for that. Earlier on, I called the Prime Minister to congratulate him on his success tonight. It's an historic occasion for the Labor Party, and we recognise that.
Earlier this morning, the candidates cast their ballots, challenged with convincing voters who've been experiencing the same issues as so many people across the globe. Families fed up with the cost of living, the cost of housing, the cost of just getting by.
I'm a bit of a globalist, and I'm hoping that we can return to a more free trade situation and less...
Homo sapien is 100% correct. Fascists really only know how to destroy. At least when it comes to when fascists attack a democracy. There are examples of fascist movements kind of, you know, rebuilding and knowing how to build an organization. But you can't give enough, you can't really give that kind of credit to the maggots because they don't know how to build. They only know how to destroy and talk shit. But in a world of stable democracy where advanced propaganda can be effective, sometimes that's all you need to win.
Isolationism and nationalism.
I think the main issue for me would be the cost of living crisis. Just trying to make sure that, you know, the day-to-day things kind of like still affordable.
Oh,
18 million voted. Election day is always held on a Saturday in Australia, and it's compulsory to vote. So it's a day despite...
Australian politics fucking rules, dude. Fuck yeah. We got the budgie smugglers. Let me see them bungees, baby. Yeah!
On a Saturday in Australia, and it's compulsory to vote. So it's a day despite the bitterness of
I love Australia, bro. Can I just say that? Can we just talk about how fucking awesome this place is? How unrelentingly awesome Australia is. Compulsory voting, how fucking sweet that is. And they have a tradition of a fucking democracy sausage where your ass votes and then you get a big juicy fucking sausage at the barbecue. I swear to God they know how to do it in Australia, man. I swear to fucking God, dude. I'm on the plane tomorrow.
Australia, and it's compulsory to vote. So it's a day, despite the bitterness of politics,
jealous.
to be somewhat enjoyed. As they say, sun's out. And the democracy sausage, a tradition at polling booths every election, served up afterwards as a reward. Early voting also meant millions went to the polls ahead of time.
Thank you.
Today's out.
And isn't it interesting that when you have compulsory voting that, you know, liberals and progressivism has a wider berth? That's so awesome.
Outcome wasn't always inevitable. Just a few months ago, Peter Dutton had passed Anthony Albanese in the poll.
So same exact thing that happened in Canada, same exact political dynamics that happened in Canada. So it's shocking to me that you know, Keir Starmer and the Tory party establishment simply can't do anything about it. It really does show how ill-equipped they are to actually create change.
Ways inevitable. Just a few months ago, Peter Dutton had passed Anthony Albanese in the polls.
Exactly.
So many had thought this would be Dutton's election to lose.
Yeah.
But that popularity was to fall off a cliff not long after Donald Trump was inaugurated.
From what the Australians have seen thus far, they'd be forgiven for thinking that you are right up Donald Trump's ass.
Mr.
Whoa! I'm in love. I'm in love with Australia. Okay, everything, please. I love 60 Minutes Australia. I love Australian sausages. I love budgie smugglers. I want to smuggle some bungees.
Not long after Donald Trump was inaugurated.
From what the Australians have seen thus far, they'd be forgiven for thinking that you are right up Donald Trump's ass.
Mr. Dutton, have you distanced yourself, do you think, from Mr. Trump's style enough?
He couldn't quite shake the image of being a Trump in miniature, a cut-price Trump, or Doji Dutton, as some called him, after he pledged to axe diversity and inclusion roles as they have in the US.
There is a lot of waste.
Even appointing a shadow minister for government efficiency.
So he even did an Elon. He even tried to. He was, you know, bro. You might have should have waited until you've seen what Doge was actually doing before you emulated it.
Even appointing a shadow minister for government efficiency. The similarities being drawn may have been fine if it wasn't for the ripples of the US president's second term, spinning the world's economy on its axis. 10% tariffs on Australia being dubbed by the country's treasurer
Lenny,
as a dark day, with some estimates that it would cost Australia billions.
Yeah, meet
the
you.
administration's tariffs have no basis in logic, and they go against the basis of our two nations partnership.
What a wokey.
This is not the act of a friend.
And as in Canada's recent election, the same kind of collapses in support for those even slightly aligned with the US's current leadership. At the start of the race, opposition Conservative parties strongly favoured to win until they weren't. But in Australia,
that clip of Carney dancing is so cringe it hurts, but it's okay. It's his victory, right? As long as you're not doing that, you know, every opportunity, that's fine. But God, it was so cringy watching this, and the camera was on him the whole time. I don't know, it's you know, so awkward. Millennials can't handle awkward, dude. We really can't. We're not built for it.
To win until they weren't. But in Australia, it wasn't as simple as not liking Trump.
Yeah,
it was also about having a future.
You see those sales numbers in some of these European countries for Tesla, like negative 90%. What was that? Was it Switzerland or something? Wrong button. It was like negative 90, and was Switzerland or one of those? Unbelievable, dude. And that's all Elon, because the sales of EVs is going up.
Anthony Albanese said he would be back at work tomorrow. An emphatic win, but his government now has its work cut out, and Australians will be expecting him to deliver.
Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Anna Henderson, the chief political correspondent with the Australian TV network SBS, and I began by asking her what she made of Albanese's unexpected landslide victory.
Okay, so I've basically given you all the details that are from this story, but of course, if you want if you want to, you know, follow this stuff like I do, then here's the video right here if you want to watch the rest of it. Got to keep her moving, so I'm going to keep doing that. Tesla stockholders are livid. You got to sell that shit, you know what I mean? I keep begging my wife, like, get rid of the Tesla stock. Sell it while you can. There's no way, because it's not like Boeing. Okay, as much as Trump is going to do everything in his power to, like, you know, rescue Tesla, it's just not like Boeing. Okay, it's not a company that makes any sense to keep afloat. Like, you're not going to use Tesla technology in the military. There isn't that connection like with Boeing, right? Yeah, Meat Shield. So we're going to be talking about India, Pakistan over here. And I wanted to show you one more image, one more video that is just, I mean, Hollywood couldn't do this as effectively as what we're going to witness here. Now, we're not going to see anybody getting shot, but we will hear the sounds of gunfire. The context in which we're seeing this video is, there's no other way to put it. It's surreal. It's simply surreal what we're witnessing in this video. That's all I have to say. So here's a man on vacation at a zip line. People are speculating that this man knew and the Allah Akbars were pertaining to that. I'm not so convinced. I'm pretty sure this guy just Allah Akbars all the time. You know, it's kind of a thing that they do. I don't think, because people are like, he's in on it, you know, he's with the terrorists that are committing an atrocity right now. He's in on it. I'm not so convinced. By the way, keen ears will hear gunshots immediately, right? Even before they took off, the gunshots were happening. They were casually walking up to people, asking them what their religion was, in some cases forcing them to take their pants off to confirm their circumcision, and then shooting them stone cold dead right in front of their family.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Right. Does this look like a guy who's in on it? You know what I mean? This looks like a guy at the carnival, You know what I mean? Like, he's done this 3,000 bazillion times. He's so bored of it. And I think the Allah Akbar is like a, like a good luck, God be with you, it's like this guy's either the chillest dude who's like so down with terrorism that he's like done with it, right? Or he has no idea what's going on. And the Allah Akbar is just, good luck, have fun, kind of thing, right? So we'll just start at the beginning. Once again, listen to that gunshot. This is even before they left.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Crazy. It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful location. Right, this guy isn't in on it, dude. This guy's thinking about like, I got a date at 3 o'clock. I got to get out of here. What the hell am I doing here? Is this my fucking life now? I'm the zip line guy, right? He's not in on the terrorist operation. Woo! I mean, come on, man. This guy isn't in on it, bro. Anyway, okay, and then the completely surreal tragedy. I mean, literally, they're all over the place, right? You can't really see them, right? They're just specks, but these terrorists are all over this campground, one by one, walking up to people, fucking shooting them down, right? It's unbelievable. So just thought I'd show you here. This guy falls down not because he was shot, but because he's panicked and he slips on the wet grass. I think he's running to his family who are right here. No, he's running past. So his family's somewhere else. No, he doesn't know what's going on. He's not connecting. You know how a lot of people are like, oh, I thought it was, fireworks. A lot of people have straight up never heard the sound of a high caliber weapon, cracking off the sound waves cracking off the walls. And you know what I mean? They don't know what it sounds like. They just doesn't know, man. Homie's over here having the time of his life. Is no fucking idea. I can't, the world we live in, I don't even. So according to some comments, there's a longer version of this video, and some people were also commenting that he started to realize right at the end, and you can kind of see it on his face, like, what the hell's going on? Like something doesn't seem right. What the fuck is going on, right? You can kind of see it on his face that he's just moments, into realizing something is wrong, but he still doesn't even know that this is a horrific, and there's really no other way to put it, horrific terrorist attack. Once again, religious extremists happy to become useful idiots of dictators and tyrants. Just happily, yep, I love being the boogeyman. Yep, I'm some cliche from a fucking RoboCop movie or from a Rambo movie. You betcha. Allah Akbar, I'm gonna kill you. You bet. Yep. One dimensional. Yep, totally. Yep, central casting. You betcha. That's me. Yep. And then, of course, we hear one more shot. I don't know what the case is with this happening over here, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on. But so that's the incident that has precipitated this potentially war. Straight up fucking legitimate war. We're seeing troops being moved. We're seeing, kind of the initial stages of headbutting. And we'll see, the big thing is that Modi, who is basically a dictator in waiting, there's really only a few things getting in his way. He would really like a war. He would really like to, have an opportunity to be, hey, I'm a strong man. I can protect you. I can win. Give me ultimate power. It's exactly what a guy like Modi needs, right? So let's get into it here and see. And I can tell you, we will be doing some special streams if we do see troops moving across like major military movements and not just a few strikes here and there. India's military budget, $75 billion? God damn. God damn. America's military spends $75 billion to build a cafeteria.
Now, tensions continue to rise in Kashmir, the territory claimed by both Pakistan and India, with Pakistan now test firing a ballistic missile on Saturday. Its military says the surface-to-surface missile has a range of 450 kilometers. Well, you'll remember friction with India spiked over last week's deadly attack on tourists in the disputed Kashmir region. India has accused Pakistan of backing the attack, which Islamabad denies. Now, for those who are living on the borders of Indian and Pakistani-controlled Kashmir, an atmosphere of fear has set in as villagers on both sides of the line of control prepare for war.
Just 3 kilometers inside Pakistan-controlled Kashmir.
It looks beautiful. It looks like paradise. It really does. Like, I can't really describe just how beautiful some of these images look. You know, I mean, you know, you got urban decay and stuff everywhere, but my God, like, it looks like that's the place to, you know, smoke a J on that forest hike, man. These forests look absolutely amazing. Cue the Zeppelin. I know that's every time I hear Kashmir, I admit it. I admit it. That's what I think of. Yeah, Simply Steve. That's, you know, it's surreal. You know, I feel, you know, that person is going to, you know, be traumatized for the rest of his life, you know.
Residents are preparing to shelter themselves and their loved ones from incoming fire from the Indian Army.
When there's a war, we'll save our families in the bunkers we've built. We're with the army, and our families are safe there. These houses with tin sheets won't protect us during shelling. The mortars can penetrate the walls, but in the bunkers, we're safe from shelling, and our children and families are protected.
More safe.
Residents are preparing for war, but determined to stay put.
Ice King, why would you bring that up?
We are with Pakistan.
It's for the Godzilla soundtrack.
We are not going anywhere.
I still have that.
We will stay here. We just need some shelter.
No, I think I threw it away.
Our children are here, and we need shelter to protect them.
I randomly found the Godzilla, the soundtrack to the Godzilla 2000 movie, just like in the gutter, and it was all beat up, and I picked it up and put it in my pocket. I had it for a little bit. But I think I threw it away, dude. But the reason why is because that music video and that song is so unbelievably embarrassing. I'll never forget it. Come with me. Puffy like dancing on the fucking stage with the fucking CG Godzilla in the background. Jimmy Page drunk off his ass. He's like, he doesn't even know where the fuck he is, and he's just doing a cover of his fucking song. Oh boy, yeah, that is a music video.
Across the line of control in Indian-administered Kashmir, residents there are equally preparing to protect themselves from the Pakistani army.
Exactly, Rebel Phoenix, yeah.
In 1999, it was more tense because shelling would cross over our homes. It was tense then, and it's tense now. After the Pahalgam incident, there is a lot of worry. Children are scared. The elderly are scared. Everyone is living in fear.
Despite the fear, villagers...
I'm like 5 hours into the stream, and I haven't even fucking talked about the United States yet, dude. So obviously I'm going to have to do something tomorrow.
Here.
Or Monday, likely Monday, actually. It's probably going to have to be Monday, because like... Sunday is my, like, I gotta get shit done day, or my wife is gonna leave me. No, just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like, gotta fix the sink, and I got some stuff I gotta do, you know?
Are also committed to staying.
So Monday we'll do another one.
I was young during the 1971 war, and I lived through 1999 as well.
Wow.
But we have always stayed here. In times like these, we stand shoulder to shoulder with the army. We can't leave our home. Again, we say we will stay here. Where else can we go? We will remain in this village.
Yeah.
As residents on both sides of the disputed territory hunker down, neither India or Pakistan
Homo sapien.
are indicating a willingness
You gotta have
to
you gotta have at least
de-escalate
one of
the
those
tensions.
days where you're just like, I'm not doing the dishes. Fuck that shit.
I'd like to welcome Sushant Singh, a journalist and lecturer at Yale University, joining us
meat
today
shield.
from Delhi. So a frightening situation we have here. I'm curious, in your view, how close you think tensions are to boiling over. Could we, for example, see an Indian military strike?
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. And definitely tensions are running pretty high. And I'll give you three reasons why conflict looks likely. The first reason is Mr. Modi
It's number one is Modi. Yeah, it's number one is Modi. It's actually, not exactly, but it's similar to what we're seeing, the dynamics in Israel, where it's like in a weird, toxic, anti-human kind of way, it actually benefits the politics of the person in charge to engage in bloodshed. It's just a disgusting world we live in sometimes.
His ministers, they have been using a lot of sharp rhetoric. They've promised that they would do something which would punish terrorists and their backers who did the Pahalgam terror attack. Then on top of that, you have this precedent of 2019, where the Indian Air Force fighter jets bombed a place inside Pakistan called Balakot after a similar terrorist strike. So there is always an expectation that more will be done because of the rhetoric. And the third reason is the almost a kind of a disinterest and acceptance from the international community, including the United States, that India would do something, and we really can't do much to stop it.
Well, let's unpack those a little bit. First, on the question of how India will respond.
What are these kicks? What are we doing with the kicks? Come on, guys. What are we, Jackie Chan impersonators? What are we doing with these kicks, guys?
How much public pressure would you say the Modi government is under to deliver a firm response here?
So the pressure is essentially, it is trapped by its own image, the kind of rhetoric that it has used, the kind of language that Mr. Modi has used, and the way he has earlier conducted himself and won the elections on the back of a strike in 2019 makes it very difficult for him to get out of it. The rhetoric, if you see on Indian television channels, Indian newspapers, Indian social media, is very, very high. They're baying for blood. They're asking for revenge. They want people to be punished. They want Pakistan to be completely targeted. A large number of actions have been taken against Pakistan. No import of goods from Pakistan. No export of Indian goods to Pakistan. No Pakistani ships. No use of Indian airspace by Pakistani aircraft. Suspension of water treaties, and so on and so forth, including Pakistani artists, Pakistani music, Pakistani social media handles. Everything has been banned in India. So there's a lot of rhetoric, a lot of pressure, and Mr. Modi and his government are trapped by their own image, by their own rhetoric, and what they've done earlier.
It's fascinating to me because, we seeing the world as it is, seeing how tyrants take advantage of violence and how, the human desire to push back and to fight back, to use violence to do that, how effective they are at weaponizing that and turning it back against us, using it as a tool to destroy our freedoms. I can kind of understand where Gandhi came up, with these ideas of like how to resist without using violence, how to force the state to act, in different ways, to use humanity as a tool, I guess. But man, it's just so wild to me how effective, just a small group of terrorists committing one atrocity, and all of a sudden, we can have full-blown war, and a bunch of people that don't agree with either side. Everyone gets shredded, everyone gets caught up in it. It's just totally wild to me.
Well, just to wonder if there are off-ramps here. You mentioned the precedent in 2019.
Pretty much.
In that situation, what worked in helping de-escalate the situation?
Get the crack out.
In 2019, if you remember, Claire, the NATO forces were still inside Afghanistan, and the United States and other NATO partners were not interested in things completely going out of hand in the region.
Right.
Now there are no NATO forces in Afghanistan, which require Pakistan to supply.
And hell, I'm sure Trump's a fan of Modi, so he's probably down for this shit in some weird, sick way. Go for it, Modi. Hey, can I build a Mar-a-Lago 2 in Kashmir? Ooh, that would be so good. Kashmir Trump. Ooh, I like the sound of that. Can we get the contract written up for Modi? I'd like to give him $100 billion in bunker busters to kill the Pakistanis. We're going to build this motherfucking casino, baby. Kashmir Casino, Trump Gold. Oh, God, it's a winner. Hold on, where's my... Yeah, I need my... Here we go.
I'm going to come. Supply that area or requires stability in that region. So the interest in the region has completely has declined. In 2019, the Trump administration, that was Trump 1.0, it really pressed very hard on both India and Pakistan to de-escalate at a point. Secondly, there was some back channel that was still on between India and Pakistan. The Indian and Pakistani intelligence chiefs could speak and negotiate among themselves and find a ramp off.
Interesting.
Thirdly, the incident itself was very lucky. The Indian Air Force jets missed the target. No Pakistani died, whether military or civilian, women or children. Then the Indian pilot who was shot down actually survived, was alive, and was quickly handed over by the Pakistani side within a couple of days. So that allowed de-escalation to very quickly happen. There were a large number of off-ramps. So there was a lucky break. There was there was interest from the West, and there was a back channel through the intelligence chiefs. All those three things, this time at least two of them are clearly not there, and the third one also looks unlikely.
Well, thank you so much for providing us with this important context. We've been speaking with Sushant Singh.
Interesting stuff. Very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. All right, folks, we have finally, Look, I knew it was going to be this way, though. I'm not surprised because, last stream, I wasn't able to cover Ukraine or Gaza. You know, there was just an overwhelming amount of Trump news. There was an overwhelming amount of Trump news. Look at this. Overwhelming amount of Trump news again, right, this week. But I wasn't going to sit there and ignore Ukraine and Gaza for one more weekend. We're just not going to do that. So we had to get into it. I don't feel bad. Sorry. We got to cover other stuff outside of Trump. But before we move over to the finance news and Hell World, I think let's try to bang out the finance news, and then we'll cover Hell World on Monday. So let me get that going. Yeah, here we go. This is a financial expert. We're going to get to her in a second here. But just thought I'd remind you, 3-step program to create political change. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut, if you're panicked and you're like, what the hell do I do, man? This is crazy. You've been doom scrolling for years, and you came across the stream and you're like, wow, what the fuck is this about? This is weird. This is all about the 3-step program to create political change. It's called political activism. It's a fucking lifestyle, and it's badass, all right? It's badass. Step 1, we inform ourselves. We learn about the world. We learn where we stand, what we believe in, right? And we do the best we can to try to find legitimate information. How do we do that? Multiple sources. We do the homework. It doesn't have to be done in a day. It's a gradual thing. For some people, it takes fucking decades. It took me decades to really dig into a lot of this stuff. I'm still way behind. I'm a complete joke when it comes to geography, et cetera, et cetera. It's something that we just got to keep going at. That's step 1. We inform ourselves. Step 2, we show up and sign up. Because step 3, we put in the motherfucking work. So Illinois, we got the Dump Trump protest. Cityville, California, we got the One Community Fiesta. Centrilla, Washington, pro-union, pro-labor rally. Hell yeah, man. May Day, Newton. We are the many, they are the few. And I completely forgot to cover May Day. Son of a bitch. Fuck. That's what I knew. I was missing something. Okay, hold on. Let me just put this in my chat. Hold on. I gotta at least do one video about May Day on Monday, dude. I know it happened fucking days ago. Okay, do May Day. Do something on May Day. God damn it. I'm so sorry I forgot to cover May Day. But hey, look, you have an opportunity. Look at this. May 3rd, happening right now. May Day, Inland Empire, May Day, Riverside, California. Be there at B Square right now. Folks, there's one thing I wanted to tell you. I can guarantee without a single shred of doubt that if you go to one of these events, you will get laid. It just, okay? Guaranteed, okay? Okay? Show up naked. Okay, that's a little ongoing joke that we have here on the stream. you know, the right wingers get to lie so much about everything. I want to get to lie about stuff. Okay, I want to lie about stuff too. And I can tell you one thing, I can guarantee, write this in stone, show up and you will get laid. If you're married, then it's okay. No one will pressure you. You can watch. If you're married, you get to watch, okay? Sexual orgies at the political protests, folks, okay? It's a guarantee. They get to lie. I want to lie about stuff too. It looks like fun. All right, money news. Money, 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 money. Here we go. Getting rich, baby. Getting rich. Hot stock tips. Hot stock tips. Woo! We all about getting rich on this motherfucking stream. Money! Woo! That's right. Okay, everybody ready to get rich? Okay. Well, I found this financial analyst on the internet, okay? You know, she's a little underground. She's working out of her fucking car, okay? Whoops, wrong button. She's working out of her car, hard worker. She's done the research, all right? She knows the truth about tariffs, okay? So let's go ahead and have a listen here. This is the real deal Holyfield. Remember I was talking about step one? We got to inform ourselves. Well, these are the kind of legitimate, informed, well-researched sources that I'm talking about. All right, let's listen up. It's going to be good stuff. Tariffs are good.
I truly wish more people understood the tariffs that President Trump is implementing.
All right, give it to me.
I wish more people knew what kind of freedom that's going to give the American people.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump is trying to...
Davey, I'm reminding myself to report on May Day on Monday. I wasn't shouting. Okay. Hold on. Okay. May Day reporting on the protest. My bad. Sorry. Davey's like, are you in danger? Okay. Back to our expert in finance over here. Take it away.
What kind of freedom that's going to give the American people?
Okay, freedom.
President Trump is trying to use these tariffs to get rid of taxes.
Oh, shit.
And I'm telling you guys,
wow.
He is very smart.
Right.
That's how the country was ran before taxes. I truly have a hard time understanding how any...
So real quick, she's talking about when before the federal government implemented the income tax, they mainly funded most of their operations, which was mainly the post office, by the way. It was just about the post office, a couple other, administrative stuff, but it's mainly just the post office. That was funded through tariffs. The rest of the money was gobbled up by psychopathic oligarchs. The age was called the Gilded Age, and it was a great time to be rich because you could send an 8-year-old into a textiles factory and he could lose his finger, working in the mechanisms, and your only problem was to how quickly can you quiet down his cries and get another toddler up there to start working the gears, right? It was a golden age for oligarchs, and Trump just can't wait to put us right back there. He's excited to put you in chains. So that's what she was talking about, by the way. She of course knows that because she's a well-researched financial analyst. Back to it.
For taxes.
Wow.
I truly have a hard time understanding how anybody could be against that.
Right.
I understand maybe not liking him,
mm-hmm.
but who could be against getting rid of taxes? Who is against having more money in your pocket? The only people that could be against that are the people who has truly never paid taxes. Before you complain and talk about how terrible it is, give him the opportunity to show you. I hope all you guys are having a wonderful day.
Oh.
It's a beautiful day here in the state of Kentucky.
So wonderful.
God bless each and every one of you.
Well, wonderful. God bless you. God bless you. I'm doing everything in my power to destroy the country. I'm voting for fascism. I'm voting for a theocracy. I'm doing everything I can to take your rights away, and you just have a good one. You just have a good one, partner. Yeehaw! Yeehaw! I love you so much. That's why I can't wait to take your rights away. Oh, my God, I can't wait. So, I mean, this is, they're in for a pretty, rude awakening, right? They're in for a pretty rude awakening. I have clips in my hell week, in my hell world coverage of Trump saying, I'm going to cut you. We're going to get rid of income tax. We're going to get rid of income tax. We're going to everything funded through the tariffs. He thinks that, of course, because he believes foreign countries are going to pay the tariffs. He simply 100% refuses to accept that tariffs are, of course, a tax on the country that is implementing them. Empire, oopsie doops. Welcome back. Good to see you. So guys, did you know if you take out all the negative numbers, GDP is fucking up? Holy shit! Holy shit! Money, 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 money. God, I am sick and tired of the winning, dude. I cannot take this anymore. Yeah, so look, this is what our financial analyst before was talking about. We're not giving Trump a chance, okay? Because think about it from his perspective. If you ignore all the bad stuff, all you have left is the fucking good stuff, right? If you take the Capri Sun out of the hot diarrhea and wash your Capri Sun, then you have a Capri Sun. Did you know that? I don't know why I just pictured okay, we won't get into it. You're not picturing it from Trump's perspective here, okay? That's your fucking problem. You TDS wokesters. Okay, I will do everything in my power to prevent you from putting a litter box in my kid's school because that's what you want to do. You guys are obsessed. Can we chlorinate that Capri Sun? Nope. You just get a little bit of warm water, 5 seconds in the sink, and then you got to put your straw in there and have a good old guzzle. You're probably okay. But you did have to scoop it out of a dish of hot diarrhea. Yep. So anyway, Gunther over here, another well-known financial expert on Twitter over here, knows what he's talking about, folks. Listen to this. China will bend the knee by the end of the month. Fucking bookmark that shit, dude. Bookmark that shit. Alpha male right here, showing you how it's done. Gunther Eagleman, TM. Okay, it's the brand. You might have heard of him. He's actually pretty popular on this horrible hellscape of a platform. But anyway, let me tell you, Gunther knows what's going on. China, oh my God. Would you believe this? Please believe this. China can't stop calling Trump. Phone ringing off the hook. Trump just sitting there like, bitch, maybe I'll pick it up to me. Leaving that motherfucker on read. You know what I'm talking about? Leaving that motherfucker on read. Wow, 2.8 million views. We are screwed. We're actually legitimately screwed. Okay. Abandon nihilism? No. Full-blown embrace nihilism. 2.8 views for Gunther fucking Eagleman. I think I want to get flushed. Okay.
With Elon Musk, right?
Okay. What the hell? The hell is that sound? Oh my God, I got a follow? Thank you, Empire. Oops, I haven't had a follow in years. Thank you so much for that follow. And I'm not kink shaming. You like to eat ass? That's cool, bro. I ain't judging. China will wait out this BS while the U.S. implodes. 100%, Lenny. Sorry, I didn't actually get to the serious part at the end of my sarcasm fucking skit. No, the reality is that China is not responding to Trump's calls. Trump is desperately calling and calling and calling. China's not picking up because the obvious play is the chill in the cut. Thank you, Davey. The obvious play is to chill in the cut. And wait for these incredibly terrible ideas to catch up to the U.S. economy, and wait for the American public to scream out in agony, for Donald Trump to stop. Yeah, Jankbury, exactly. He's just a big fan of TYT. Anyway, I wanted to show this because they had clips from CNBC, and they have a kind of a small. They have a longer 11-minute discussion about this. We're not going to listen to the whole 11 minutes of it, but this is really funny because your boy and mine, everyone's favorite Zeke Heiler over here, just eating shit, dude. I mean, face first. He's on the bike going as hard as he can, dude. The front tire collapses, and this guy's just ass over tea kettle. He's completely screwed the pooch, okay? And now the scuttlebutt is the board of Tesla is looking for a replacement, and God, it would feel so good. Wouldn't it? He's not going to go broke. Okay, a good chunk of his money is tied up into it. He's going to go down the ranks, right? He's not going to lose his money, though. He's not going to lose his Tesla stock, blah, 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 right? So he's not going to be like, it's not like Monopoly and he's going to fold his pockets out and, go work at the soup kitchen or something. But fuck, man, Tesla is his identity, like his pride in Tesla is so large, okay? So yeah, he might be the largest stockholder, but I think there's a way to still get him out as CEO, and just wouldn't, you know what I mean? It just would that feels good. Oh, that feels good, right? So let's get a little bit of news on this, and then keep the fucking train moving here.
Tesla's denying a report that board members recently contacted executive search firms to get to work on finding a successor for CEO Elon Musk.
The Wall Street Journal had a pretty explosive scoop. About a month ago, allegedly, Tesla's board was on the hunt for a successor
12.8
for Elon Musk, who is currently the CEO of the car company. Now, Tesla's board chair and Elon Musk have both denied the story.
Right, so he doesn't have 51% of the stock. So yeah, that's his share, that's his power, that's his voting power. He can definitely get voted out. Yeah,
but I'm inclined to believe what the Wall Street.
Do I have any MAGA friends? No, I don't. I do not. I actually don't have any friends. I'm sorry. I had one friend for a very long time. We are no longer friends. He was my only friend, really. And now I have a kid and a family and a video game collection and a political talk show where I am incredibly successful. #1 in politics. So I don't have time for friendship. No, please be my friend. Please. Thank you, Ryan. Ryan wants to be my friend. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for being my friend.
Street Journal's reporting is here. What do you think, Cenk?
No, I definitely believe it. They're not going to make up a story like this out of nowhere, especially because Elon Musk loves to sue people. So Wall Street Journal isn't going to be like, hey, why don't we just cook up a story that doesn't exist about how they might replace Elon Musk, which would be a massive, massive story. Yeah. No, they have insiders at the company. Also, interesting part here is that not only are there insiders who are looking to oust Elon Musk, but they were leaking it to the press to try to push him out, right?
Dirty.
Okay, there's 2 requirements. If you come to my house, you have to play video games with me, and you have to let me smoke weed. That's it.
Yeah, and that's how this game is played. So it's definitely real, and it's part of the reason that Elon Musk is now beginning to run away from the White House and get back to work, which is probably a good thing for everyone.
Charlie Kirk.
So first, it's important to note that Tesla has been struggling a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Let's play some fucking Future Perfect, dude. Let's get down on that shit. Hell yeah. All right, anyway, so you get the point. There's a rumor mill. Will they, won't they? I don't know. You know where I stand on this bad boy. Let's hope it gets down. I knew you were all right. If you would like to watch the rest of this clip, by the way, here's the link. I know nobody in here is TYT fans, but if you want to, just try to keep it real. Elon should have left his CEO spot a while ago. I agree, Ryan. I mean, I agree, but it's all ego with him. It's all ego. Oh, I see. Empire Oops over here bragging about being MAGA. That's pretty fucking pathetic over here. What about the current MAGA administration do you like the most, Empire? What about the current fascist organization are you most excited about? You know, we're about 3 months into it, you know. What do you think is like, you know, what are you really digging right now? So anyway, U.S. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. You know, when I hear stuff like this, all I can think about is desperate people joining us in the streets. Low amount of border crossings. So Empire, is there some kind of connection between border crossings and your wages going up, your services going up, your taxes going down? Does that somehow correlate? Are there people in your life that's maybe they're forcing you to take fentanyl? Is that what's happening? I'm just a little confused as to how less border crossings make your life easier. I don't know how that works. Yeah, tourism, but that's okay. I don't live in it. I don't own a business that depends on tourism, so I'm okay destroying tourism. I'm perfectly okay. Empire, oops, I noticed that you didn't answer my question. Was that intentional? Did you not hear the question? Should I repeat the question? The question was, what's the correlation between your life getting better and border crossings going down, right? Because as explained in the chat, there's actually some negative externalities to border crossings being down. Not everybody crossing the border wants to turn your child into a transgender fentanyl addict. Not everyone. Makes USA safer. So once again, I noticed you're not answering the questions that I'm asking you. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop wasting my time with you and hit that flush button, baby. I simply don't have time for you assholes. Oh, I got to get all the way down here. Oh, God, this is a lot of work. Makes USA safer, huh? Okay, bud. Okay. You know, tell that to a right-wing town super, super dependent on tourism, like right along the Canadian border. You know what I mean? Makes us safer. Yeah, you know, we didn't need customers. Yeah. You know, we're going to have plenty of customers when we take over the 51st state, a.k.a. Canada. We're going to have all the customers we need because we're going to steal them. We're going to take them from that country, bring them over here. You're going to love your biscuits and gravy, you goddamn Canuck. Thank you so much, Plasma, for that follow. Anyway, Caroline Leavitt over here. Hey, we're going to dock your wages. Hey, we're going to stop paying the pensions, and we're going to cut everything just to make that revenue, baby. This is sure to make people happy. This is going to make people really super stoked about everything that's happening.
In other news, the Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collection since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion. But fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others.
And you can't get blood from a stone. You know what I mean? Are we to assume that these many people that are not paying their bills are doing it because they are scammers, they're grifters, they're scamming the system? Could it be that they're not paying back these debts because they don't have the money, because the economy really sucks and it's just a really dog eat dog out there and it's really hard to make money, and you get a job to make money, then you can pay rent, you can get food, and you don't have enough left to pay off those loans. There's none of that's being part of the calculation here, right? Okay, just double checking.
So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans?
So this is one of those things, and Davey actually agrees with this, but this is one of those things that on paper kind of sounds like common sense, but then once you actually dig into the reality of why the government should pay off some of these student debts, why it was unfair at the beginning to have a system that required these students who wanted a future, who wanted to better themselves, to put themselves into debt. So there's actually a very legitimate and academic response to this, but that's okay. People got to pay their bills. They got to pay their, you signed on the dotted line, you son of a bitch. You got to pay your bills. So no, there's actually a very legitimate reason why the government should pay off some of these things, so that these people, instead of being trapped under a 8-ball, under a Sisyphean 8-ball of debt, instead of being trapped underneath this collapsed building of debt, they're actually able to get a job and have a career and become productive members of society, and they're not anchored down, they're not held back, and in some cases their lives ruined by this debt. So there's actually a very good reason why the government should be chipping in. I'm okay with maybe the government doesn't pay it off completely, but no, there's a legitimate reason that would help all of us, that would help society. It would be good use of taxpayer money to help out some of these people who got an education, who are trying to make a career out of it, and to help them along to start their life, out of debt.
The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers, tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages.
Oh, sounds like common sense, right? Hey, you signed on the dotted line. Now picture yourself, a college student, fresh out of, you got your degree, you somehow made it, you got tens of thousands of dollars of debt, and you're trying desperately to get a job in your field, and it's just not working out. So your ass is working at fucking Mickey D's while you're trying to work it. Maybe you're doing something, right? You're doing some kind of Joe job, right? Barely making enough because it's minimum fucking wage and it's the only job that you have. Then this motherfucking Barbie ass Christian scoops up your fucking wages, right? So you're defeated. You're making minimum wage, and then she comes in and takes how much? How much you taking? How much you taking from me?
I'm Luigi, number one.
Are we?
I'm Luigi, number one.
Are we forgetting? Are we forgetting what we're doing to society, what we're doing to human beings? You put people in a corner, and they will act accordingly. They will act desperate. If you make the situation this bad, right, and then on top of that, right, on all of that, and then you start garnishing their wages, right? They're like, yeah, I'd love to pay back my student loan debt. I can't get a job in my field. Because you cut all the fucking, you cut NASA, you cut NOAA, you cut fucking USAID, all the fucking scientific research. So glad I got a degree. And the cherry on top. Oh, we didn't need you anyway, honey. Yeah, we're paying $10 a month for Super Grok. Didn't you know we don't need scientists anymore? No, we got a Platinum Plus subscription to Google Gemini. Take your degree and shove it right up your ass. Thanks so much for your time. Oh, by the way, we're garnishing your wages too. Yeah. Good job getting that degree. Keep it going.
America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country.
Tax the fucking rich. They know that, but her entire reason for being is to prevent such a thing. Should literally shatter into a million pieces like a fucking Superman villain if taxes were to be increased on the rich.
If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple.
Right. Yeah. Unless you're Israel, unless you're one of the thousands of companies that took advantage of COVID, PPP loans, except unless you're fucking Tesla, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
President Trump will not kick the can down the road anymore.
Yeah, he's not kicking anything but the fucking bucket. It's bad, folks. It's bad, okay? A recession is guaranteed. The only thing I'm wondering is this stagflation? Or are we going full motherfucking oopsie-doodle depression, dog? He's doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down on the tariffs. The economic numbers are coming in. Everybody's sweating, and we're coasting. We're coasting right now off the fumes of the Biden economy. Okay. Wall Street's having a fucking orgy right now. They're going crazy with the volatility. They think it's great. They don't want to stop this madness, and a lot of these psychos think it's a great idea for Donald Trump to be pressuring the Fed to lower rates. Only the poors have to obey laws and pay for things. Here's another example of how bad things are going to be in a couple weeks, months. I don't, whenever this momentum burns off. Here's a clear example of what we're going to deal with. And folks, I say this every stream about this situation. This is real. Panic a little. Go out and get the essentials. Go to Costco, spend a little bit more money at Costco, right? Think about what happened during COVID. What did you need during COVID? It's not going to be COVID, right? It's not going to be a viral infection, but it is going to be an economic situation that I don't know if some of the people viewing this stream have ever actually gone through. Maybe you went through 2008. Maybe you went through COVID. I truly believe this shit's going to be different. Panic a little, try to think about not only just your own investments and trying to get into gold, trying to get into maybe real estate, trying to, put that money in a more safer place. But I'm just talking about food and toilet paper. Maybe buy that bidet, maybe get that bidet before shit hits the fan, right? Whatever it is, while you can. We got a couple more weeks of general, weird stability, but man, the tipping point's going to hit, dude, and then it's going to be this cascading bop, 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 bop. It's going to keep going down. Don't believe them, but caveat, I'm not a numbers guy, right? I'm just reflecting how I feel from absorbing all of this information. So maybe I've completely lost my mind. Miller High Life, that's funny. Anyway, terrifying news. This is a doc, okay? This is a doc. These people have visibility on the supply chain. They see what's going on.
In my 32 years of design and manufacturing, Cavu has survived tough times, but nothing close to this. Due to the extreme spikes in prices, we are expecting that many, if not all of our 2,000 independent outdoor retailers who rely on us for their income across the country will cancel their orders, leaving us with no sales and at the precipice of shutting down.
Hey, look, pretty dangerous stuff. That's the end of the clip right there. But on the precipice of shutting down, I mean, this is historic, right? So this guy who's gone through 2008, he's gone through some economic dips, and he's like, I've never seen anything like this before, folks. We're in for the long haul. And you know what, Costco, though, to what Ice King is saying, they didn't get rid of their DEI policies. They didn't take advantage of people as much as other billion-dollar grocery store, big outlet did during COVID, right, with the price hikes and inflation. So, look, if I gotta get behind a company, I guess I'll pick Costco over a Walmart, right? Here's another indicator that, thank you so much, Morning Joe, for covering this, except you don't. You know what I mean? This is the kind of stuff, the early warning signs that we're just not seeing covered in mainstream media. People are going to be blindsided by this. But hey, also, apparently prices are super fucking low in Vegas. So let's fucking go, baby. You, me, Vegas, Blue Man Group. I want to see the Blue Man Group. Let's go, dude. Let's fucking go, man. Vegas, baby. Vegas, baby. I want to go to the Dome. I want to spend way too much on a ticket to see a bunch of weird visuals at the Dome. Let's do it. You know why? You know why things are getting cheap? Because the orders are down, okay? Tourism way down. Oh, less border crosses. I feel so safe. I feel so safe. Don't you feel safe? Yeah, in Las Vegas, they're not too happy about those lower border crossings, right? Let's listen to this.
News that hasn't made the news yet. MGM Resorts just told all of their concierge employees across all of their properties, with the exception of Aria and Bellagio, that they are being laid off. This is a couple weeks after laying off the valet, doorman, and bellman at Excalibur. and announcing the closure of the Luxor buffet. We know that travel and tourism is down. Aside from global issues and the Canadians boycotting us, many Americans fear that we are headed for a recession and they are tightening up their spending. But what's going on at MGM feels a little bit bigger than that. Multiple executives in recent months have resigned or are rumored to be considering resignation, with small downsizings and rumors of more occurring at multiple properties. This is after raising resort fees and parking fees twice in 2024. Fees keep going up and amenities are being scaled back. It feels like everyone's trying to be tight-lipped about this, but I think we need to talk about it. Are more layoffs coming? Is this a sign of the times? Let me know what you think and follow me for all the Vegas.
The fuck is this Beetlejuice ass music? All right, so that was obviously some TikTok speculation, and we have someone who is apparently Bound was just in Las Vegas last weekend. That's awesome. So jealous. But Bound is saying, hey, there was a bazillion people there. So I guess we'll wait and see. We'll see what the reality is over there. Thank you, Bound, for your insight there. I always appreciate someone who's on the ground. It was $300 a night at the Strat last weekend. Little pricey, but I guess, if there's only like a couple places in Vegas that are like strictly non-smoking. So I insisted on going to one of those because a lot of these places, they have a casino at the bottom floor. Dude, it smells like Satan's asshole, dude. I was literally like, oh my fucking God, get me out of here. I was running, right? Because like the cigarette smoke is everywhere, dude. But the places that don't allow the cigarette smoke are very nice.
Okay,
I wanted to show this. I had this lined up here. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to your boy, the Pac-Man. This is the guy from the video game. Yeah, he had a long, solid career being a video game guy. He's pivoted over to politics. Okay, settled down with Miss Pac-Man. Had a bunch of Pac-Man Juniors, but now he's doing some political commentary. So thank you so much. We're actually not going to listen to his political commentary this time. But make sure that you do. But I just wanted to show this tweet from Dave Portnoy, who is a man baby who lucked into a situation of celebrity by drunkenly wandering around the country and eating pizza at various places and doing a 30-second review of the pizza that he's eating in front of the pizza place. Anyway, luckiest guy in the fucking world. Complete dunce, and even he very hot, sorry, and even he is like, guys, this isn't Biden, this isn't fucking Biden, okay, this isn't Biden's economy. Oh, you were talking about Vegas. So this is Dave saying up here, you can't see his name, but just take my word for it. It's Mr. Toadstool fucking guy. What's the old expression? ? Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining. Well, that applies here. The stock market is a direct reflection of Trump's first 100 days in office. Doesn't mean it won't get better. Hey, please don't leave me. Please still be my fan, right-wing audience. Please, you're so lucrative for me. Please don't leave me, right-wing audience. So throws in that little caveat. I'm still on the Trump train. I still like fascism. Please don't leave me. I just don't like losing my millions of dollars. So it doesn't mean it won't get better and that we don't need to be patient. We need to be patient because that's what Dave would be saying if this was Biden, right? If this was Kamala Harris. We should be patient, guys. Anyway, it's not like we don't need to be patient, but this is his market, not Biden's. So even he's like, we're seeing the maggots like, well, what the hell? At least once again, conservative thinking, it's not real until it happens to me. So for Mr. Dave Portnoy here at fucking, stool sports, fucking, stinky stool sports, he's losing millions of dollars. It's not like he's a Mr. Investor. Like he's probably got a hedge fund manager that's like, moving his money all around. And he's probably getting an email from his guy that's like, oh, these tariffs are killing you, bro. Like I'm trying to move your money into safe places, but we're just losing so much, bro. I'm so sorry, bro. I love Toadstool Sports, bro. It's so cool, bro. You eat pizza, bro. It's so cool, bro. So anyway, even this dickhead is realizing maybe fascism not such a great idea. But no. I mean, it's not, I'm still down. I'm still down with the MAGA stuff. Please still watch my videos, please.
And
moving on to the next thing here, Trump says it's okay if tariffs lead to short-term recession. So, I mean, it needs to be said, we're not going to watch a lot of this, but, of course, the election, greatest economy in the world, you're going to be fucking rich. I'm literally going to stuff $100 bills in your pocket. It's going to be fucking obscene. Of course, too. Now, it's okay if you go a little broke. It's okay if you lose your house. It's okay if you lose your job. We got to feel a little bit of pain to get to the paradise. Your kid will have one toy and will work in a factory. One toy? That might spoil him. I don't know. I don't want to spoil him.
Now, this morning, another round of tariffs are in effect, this one on imported auto parts.
Right.
And it could play a significant factor in the auto industry. Previous auto tariffs left U.S.-made cars mostly untouched. But with this new tariff in place, there's not a single U.S. car manufacturer that will get a pass. The CEO of General Motors told CNN the tariffs would cost the company between $4 billion and $5 billion this year. So what does this mean for car buyers? We may not see any price hikes in the short term. Experts estimate, though, the added cost of the tariffs eventually could average to about $4,000 per vehicle.
So this delay depends wholly on the industry, right? With things like toys, video games, electronics, clothing, we're going to see pretty quick turnaround, right? Pretty quick price changes. Things like vehicles. I don't know. I'll try to think of some other ones here, but there's certain stuff that's going to take a little bit more time for the price hikes. What is going to happen, in my prediction, what's going to happen is a kind of tipping point where the optimism is completely nullified. Because right now, these sociopaths on the stock market, they're like, well, eventually Trump is going to get his mind right, and eventually he's going to remove the tariffs on China. I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. This is Trump unhinged, Trump unlocked, unrestricted. And I think there's a chance that when the market is 100% certain that these tariffs are not going anywhere and Trump is just completely out of his mind, is going to continue to play games with these tariffs, I think that's when we're going to see the big sell-off that is probably going to be the tipping point that pushes us into that recession territory, right?
Trump doesn't seem worried about how these tariffs will affect the economy. He actually said it's okay if the country takes an economic downturn in the short term. CNN's Jeff Zeleny has more from the way.
He doesn't look human. He like, aliens have fucking landed, dog. I mean, we're right here, man.
Quiet.
Sorry, sir.
Country takes an economic downturn in the short term. CNN's Jeff Zeleny has more from the White House.
Omar, as President Trump spends a working weekend at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, the economy remains front and center on the minds of the challenges.
I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but the way that he moves his body, it really does seem like he's like one of those puppets on a popsicle stick. One of those cardboard puppets on a popsicle stick. I'm sorry, that's just me.
Of this White House, of this administration, even as the White House is releasing its budget blueprint, if you will, to slash spending across the government. The president was asked about the question of a recession by NBC's Kristen Welker.
Trump will leave his hair to
And
science.
that's my question.
Well, that's where it came from.
Long term, is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
Look, everything's okay.
Come on,
but
bitch.
We are.
Bitch.
I said this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
The president talking about a transition period, that is something he certainly did not talk about when he was running for office, when he promised to lower prices on day one. But there is no doubt about it. The president is simply
absolutely not happening, Davey. We need to, it's not going to happen unless you start talking more like a democratic socialist. Okay? Because the only political ideology that even takes the concept of decommodifying housing seriously are democratic socialists and more further to the left. Okay? So you got to drop the Jordan Peterson bullshit if you want to start the conversation of decommodifying housing. Okay? Because you're not going to keep your crusty ass conservative ideology while decommodifying housing. Okay? So you better get with it, boy. Sorry, that was too far. Better get with it, bro.
Trying to buy more time for the economy to get back up to speed, even as the administration tries to ink some type of a trade deal that so far has been elusive. Jeff Zeleny, CNN.
You know, for a guy that fucking hates Jordan Peterson, you sure do repeat a lot of his talking points. Get it! I got it all day, dude. I'm serving it up. Hot and steaming. So, reporter here, over to the next fucking story. Reporter, you took credit for the stock market. Now the stock market's not doing so well, and you say that this is the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that? So this reporter was immediately escorted off the grounds and forced to eat 45 cheeseburgers until they suffocated and died. Just so you know that America is working just as designed. We have a Gulf of America hat on the desk over here. We're just killing it. We're just absolutely fucking killing it. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, the transition, sir. You frequently took credit
so
for
pretentious
stock market highs.
Homie, you're not getting both. You're not keeping your fucking crusty ass conservative ideology while trying to have a conversation about the decommodification of fucking real estate. Okay? Take that weak ass bullshit to the fucking trash bin. Okay? Get with it. There's only one political organization talking about what you were talking about just now, what you're begging for. Okay? So you better get on the fucking democratic socialism train before history passes you by.
You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition is going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's
Meat Shield, don't give him any ideas.
You are the president. Can you explain that?
Oh my God.
I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders.
Trump never takes credit for the stock market. Never, dude. Why would you even think that? Where are you from? Oh, okay. Yeah, MSNBC. Well, there you go. There you go. I can't wait to shut you down.
You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. When you look
objectively
at
untrue
prisoners being allowed to come into our country at will, just at will. People from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers. When you look at that, what they've done to our country,
wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it because it's not true. Yeah, no. You know, if this guy, maybe if he ate more burritos, maybe if he was like a Taco Bell guy instead of a McDonald's guy, we wouldn't be dealing with this.
To do with finance, look at what happened with inflation. We had the worst inflation probably in the history of our country.
Lie, not even true. Fucking just
China?
Probably, yeah, well, whatever. You know, I just make shit up, and I'm not called out on it, and I just get to do this. You know, will this ever end? Will this please? You know, the Fourth Estate. It seems like the Fourth Estate needs to be given permission to do its job. You know what I mean? Like that's how we're gonna. Like the Fourth Estate is gonna need to be encouraged to follow up. Right? Like that's what needs to happen here is that, you know, like where's the sir, that's not actually true. You know, facts show that something else, any kind of pushback whatsoever. You know, Donald Trump, you know, festers and succeeds and prospers inside a media environment that lacks scrutiny, you know, and that's only in a media environment like that can a Donald Trump, you know, get away with what he's getting away with. This was 60 fucking seconds of unadulterated donkey do. Okay, I mean, how many lies? 5, 6 in the span of 68 seconds, right? And the only way you can find success is if the Fourth Estate is not doing its job. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Morning Joe. I love beating up on Morning Joe. God, it feels good. Ooh. I can do that all day. So, you know, this article, I don't have time to read it, but basically the article is saying, you know, is refuting, this is a Bloomberg article, by the way, had to, you know, use illegal means, had to use dark web underground websites like archive.is over here to steal the website from Bloomberg. But anyway, there's the link right there if you want the underground link. Underground, yeah, that's how we do it, baby. But no, this article just reaffirms that Donald Trump is lying. We can't put that in the headline, of course. But no, Donald Trump is lying. He's desperately trying to call China every single day, like multiple times, and China's not picking that shit up, dude. No, was that Trump? Yeah, leave that on read. We're good. We're good. And as we described earlier in the stream, the obvious strategy is just wait for the United States to inflict enough pain on itself, and then magically the tariffs are going to go away. And you know what's going to happen? It's really interesting. The result is going to be less favorable trade negotiations for the United States. So we're going to do all this damage to ourselves, right, with the idea that we're going to get more favorable trade, deals out of it. We're going to go through all this damage, hurt ourselves like crazy, and then at the end of the day, what's going to happen? We're going to get a shittier deal. It's the genius of Trump, folks. It's the genius of Trump. There's the link right there if you want it. China lets it go to voicemail, and the voicemail's full. Exactly. And that's the play. If I was China, I honestly wouldn't change a thing. I'm not a big fan of China. Obviously, not a big fan of the communist regime, right? But that's the play. I wouldn't change a thing. That's it. No, don't pick up the phone. Don't talk to him. Let him sweat. Because you don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. No, Trump does not have the cards. He does not. Swap the words out and you get all of Trump's rhetoric. It's like with North Korea. Yeah, it really is. Like Caroline Leavitt is damn close to that. I think there could be an argument to be made that she's just as bad as the North Korean lady, right? That famous lady, the meme, right? Who proudly, repeats propaganda. All right, last couple videos here, folks. Trump, quote unquote, these are going to be the biggest tax cuts in American history. Yeah, we're gonna cut them to the bone, folks. We don't need taxes on anybody, but especially the rich. We don't need taxes on anybody because we're gonna pay them with the tariffs. Don't you know that? Everyone looks at me so crazy. Everyone looks at me so crazy when I say we're gonna pay all this with the tariffs, but they don't understand that we're gonna make them trillions of bazillions. He believes it. And the people in his orbit are too cowardly to call it out. They're there for their own careers. I don't know how it's going to help your career to be part of the administration that destroys the U.S. economy intentionally because of its own stupidity. I'm not quite sure how that benefits your political. I guess it goes back to the fourth estate not doing its job, right? Because what did we see with the Bush administration? All the hacks that defended the Bush administration and created all the problems, they were right back on TV. They got to keep their careers. They got lobbyist jobs. They got, jobs in high finance and they got retreated so honorably and so respectful and right. So I guess that's what they're thinking is that I can't lose. I either become part of this fascist regime and I get to have crazy amounts of power, even though I'm totally unqualified to have it. Or if everything falls apart, I get a book deal, I get a media deal, I get a podcast. I'm good. I'm set for the rest of my life, baby. I'm over here. I'm Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth podcast, baby. You know it. Oh, I know. I was part of a failing fascist authoritarian regime, but Make America Great Again wasn't so bad. It was okay. Oh, I know. I started World War III when I was head of the military. But I'm doing paintings now. I'm out here. I'm on vacation, man. Check me out, bro. Come on. I love Dave Portnoy. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, here's Donald Trump over here telling us everything's going to be just fine, baby.
Tax cuts in American history
with 100%
expensing, which is something that people cannot believe they're getting. We did it in the last one, and we had the most successful economy in my first 4 years that we've ever had. The history of our country. China. And expensing was one of the things that led to that. But it's 100% expensing for companies investing in America and increasing take-home pay for the typical family by thousands of dollars a year. And to show you how middle income this is, there'll be no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax for the great seniors in Social Security. So you have no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we have full deduction for interest. If you buy a car that's made in America, you get an interest rate deduction. That's going to be it's got to be made in America. If it's not made in America, we really don't care if you buy it or not. But if it's made in America, we want you to buy it. We make the best cars anyway.
Broken clock syndrome. I mean, there's, some of these ideas could help stimulate an economy to help, kind of shift the balance into a more American favor, right? A tax break, a subsidy, a couple $1,000 if you buy an American-made vehicle versus if you get a Honda or something, right? the whole idea is that we get to cut taxes to the bone, and we're going to make up the difference with Elon Musk's cuts and with tariffs. It's simply not going to happen. The ching isn't there, okay? Because even people, the federal government is huge, okay? And you simply can't stop this stuff on a dime. And of course, that's what Doge was discovering, that this is actually a lot harder to do, in any kind of way, right? Because the whole purpose of Doge was the destruction of these services. It wasn't to reform them, right? But they were like, man, it's actually difficult to destroy them because we're going to have people in the streets if we cut the way that we want to cut. But yeah, the idea that we're going to make up this revenue, we're going to be completely, there's going to be a massive federal government revenue shortfall. We're going to have to borrow money to make up the difference. Quantitative easing, printing money. I mean, in a couple years, it is going to be a catastrophic farce of what's happening financially. Okay. And it's going to be because of these terrible, stupid decisions. There's really no other way to put it. Any financial analyst that I've observed that's not, sucking on MAGA's teats over here is like, this is unbelievably dangerous, and seemingly there's no sound theory to it whatsoever. Like, it's just vibes. We're almost done with this crap, folks. Interest buying vehicles, yes, but out aggression and wage garnishment for buying an education. Yeah, everything he's saying is a direct contradiction to the student loan policy they are trying to implement. Yeah. It's incoherent. It's incoherent. It really is. Just wanted to remind people that the whole Mike Johnson's a Christian, he's there because he's a mission from God, and he's God's avatar, and and he loves showing everyone his son's porn suggestions. Anyway, you've heard all the jokes, right? But no, he's religion is a tool that he uses to defeat his political enemies with. He cloaks himself in religion, right? Weaponizes religion for his own political purposes. Why is he actually there? To be a toady of the oligarchy. So here's Mike Johnson talking about the suggested reforms, because there's been a couple suggestions coming from Donald Trump that's like really crazy. He's like, maybe we will tax the rich. Maybe we will tax the rich. And everyone's like, huh? So there was one of those incidents with the maybe we will, I guess this is part of the anti-vaccine fear-mongering, right? But they were like, we're going to go after big pharma. We're going to go after big pharma. There were some announcements and stuff that came out of the White House. So this is Speaker Mike Johnson responding to that. He says, this is Politico over here, exclusive. Speaker Mike Johnson is throwing cold water on a pharmaceutical industry crackdown the White House is pushing to help finance Trump's mega bill. I'm not a big fan of that, so we'll see how it goes. We can't tax them more. We can't regulate them more. No, they should be allowed to release drugs without scrutiny and use the public as guinea pigs for their multi-billion-dollar drug operations, right? I don't know. I'm happy to fearmonger. Do you think this guy's number one up on the front to fearmonger about COVID and we shouldn't use masks and that's against my religion and God meant you to get COVID and all that shit, right? But when it comes to what was I talking about? I completely, wow, dude. I ran off to a cliff, and then I just entered into a sea of blackness. I completely lost my train of thought. Anyway, I don't like Mike Johnson. He's a liar and a hypocrite. Moving on. That was pathetic. That was utterly pathetic. Boo this man. He's bad at this. You're bad at this, bro. All right, moving on to Howard Lutnick. Yeah, I just a total Elon knows Conan. I don't know. That's the right one. Streamer brain. Okay, Howard Lutnick over here. I mean, they're trying to sell it, and they're so bad at this. I think they think this is somehow effective. That this is them getting ahead of the story. That this, if they do this enough, if they have the right rhetoric, the incredibly negative financial reality that's hitting millions of Americans is somehow going to be ignored, that they're going to be able to shuck and jive their way out of people not being able to afford rent, groceries, and all the other essentials. Pretty funny stuff. These guys have no idea what's coming. No idea. Okay, because we're talking about people who are losing their jobs, losing their futures, nothing left to lose. All right, they got nothing left to lose. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to see hundreds of Luigis. That doesn't mean we're going to see hundreds of Luigis, but that does mean we're going to see hundreds of thousands of Americans in the streets. My dad lost his job. I lost my job. My mom lost her job. I can't go to school anymore. My wages are getting garnished because I had student debts. All of these terrible, terrible ideas driving people into the streets. And then, of course, we have the big golden calf, Donald Trump himself, as the icon of corruption, you know, and political movements can thrive off of single unified image, right? A Marie Antoinette, right? A fucking, you know, a strong man, a tyrant. You know, we can all say, look, man, this is the beast we need to slay to get our freedom back. Donald Trump and the maggots are doing that for us. Let's get back to it. Howard Lutnick over here telling you, hey guys, it's going to be all good. What? Oh, what? Prices are going to go up a weeny, tiny, teeny bit. Oh, come on. Come on. What is it? How much is a candy bar? What, 15 bucks? What's the big deal? It's going to be like 16, 17 bucks for a Snickers bar. I'm not worried about it. I'm a billionaire. I mean, come on. What are we even talking about here? And, you know, I agree with Howard Lutnick. Chill the fuck out, everybody. Come on. Go to your vacation home and, you know, take a couple months off work like everyone is capable of doing, right? God.
Amazon gate. Forget.
Whoops.
If we were to say we're raising prices because of the tariff, is Amazon
restart
gate. Forget about Amazon. If a company were to say we're raising prices because of the tariff, is that a hostile
Bob and weave
act?
I think if you go out of your way to try to make it seem like your price has changed when it's nonsense, okay?
This is a
10% tariff.
Why is that not?
This is a slicker way of blaming the media. You go out of your way to make it seem like my incredibly bad ideas on tariffs are going to somehow damage the economy. It's kind of your fault.
Out of your way to try to make it seem like your price has changed when it's nonsense, okay? A 10% tariff.
Why is that nonsense?
Because a 10% tariff is not going to change virtually any price. The only price it would change would be a product that we don't make here, like a mango. You know, if we don't have mangoes here and we charge 10%.
Hopefully nobody's making mangoes.
Right,
yes, you're
correct. Or cocoa. Right? We don't grow cocoa in America. So, but what you're going to see is you're going to see us relentlessly do.
Lenny, I don't know what you're talking about. Because honestly, when I freeze this video and I take a look at this man, all I see is honesty, virtue. Okay? This is a guy that would help you up. You know what I mean? This is a guy that would take off his $10,000 suit jacket and give it to you if you were cold. Okay? So I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Weasel? What? Greasy hair, slicked back billionaire fucking everybody over with his terrible ideas surrounded by yes men? That's what you see when you take a look at this man? I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. Look, I don't want to say it. But, Saint? Is he a saint? I need a better. I used to have a heavenly. Okay, anyway, joke's over. I ruin things. I ruin everything.
Trade deals everywhere in the world, and when we do a trade deal with that country, we're going to say cocoa does not have a tariff, right? Because this is the smart way that Donald Trump is doing it. He understands if you make a deal with a country.
No, like when behind closed doors, him and Bessett are fighting are fighting a losing battle against Peter Navarro's craziness, but he gets out in public and he's like, I'm so proud to slob this knob, guys. You wouldn't believe how good these tariff plans are. And why do careerists whose only concern is their career and, you know, going up the ladder, why are they okay, you know, prostrating themselves to a comical authoritarian government that, you know, there's a good chance this whole thing can fall apart, right? This MAGA takeover of America is not guaranteed. There's a good chance this whole thing can fall apart. Why would a careerist who only cares about their career still saddle up next to Trump? And it goes back to what I was talking about. There's no consequences. Howard Lutnick, say the whole thing falls apart in 4 years and the fascist takeover is finally over and liberals are voted in, right? And like, you know, everybody in the Trump administration is identified as a total shill. Howard Lutnick would guaranteed get airtime on Morning Joe. easily getting an interview after the whole thing falls apart, easily getting an interview on Anderson Cooper, not to be admonished, not to be fucking shamed and pointed out all their failures, but to give us an inside look on the Trump administration. Yeah, I know you were one of the good guys, right, Howard? Oh, why don't you give me the dirt on Trump? Did he fart? Did he smell weird? Dude, have you heard anything about the PP tape? Yeah, no, we're going to ignore you being a total professional fucking corrupt, absolutely a fucking comical joke of a human being. We're going to let you pretend like you're a professional who was just there for the American people, and we're going to let you pretend all that. Give us more information about Donald Trump. Yeah, did he tell you his daughter was hot? You be the new Scaramucci? I fucking wish, man.
Not have a tariff, right? Because
PP
this
tape's
is
going to make
smart
millions.
way that Donald Trump is doing it. He understands
PP
if you
tape's
make a
selling
deal
well.
with a
Just
country
saying.
and you give
People
them the
wanna see
parts
it.
that
PP
they
tape's
want and
selling
they
well.
need, they're
You
going to
put
open their
Trump on
market.
it,
Let
it
us sell
sells.
soybeans there. Let us sell, people won't let us sell chicken. They won't let us sell beef. It's all nonsense. So we open their
Talk about nonsense. It's fantasy, right? Oh, new markets are going to open up. Factories are going to come to America. It's all going to happen instantly, and there's no negative downsides. Folks, it's fantasy, okay? I don't need to be an expert to see this. Lenny's an expert. He can see this, right? This is fantasy. And folks, I need to repeat this once again. Panic a little bit. The economy affects you, especially if you live in the United States. Prepare yourself for an economic downturn. If you lived in 2008, try to think about what if I knew 2008 was going to happen? What would I have done to try and prep myself a little bit better for that? Maybe I start, working on my resume because I'm like lower on the rung and my job's going to lay me off pretty soon. Maybe that's what I'm talking about. Doing some of that life planning to maybe get ready for some major ass shit, because everything that I've seen is like, kind of a big deal. It's either that or I'm totally bananas. I'm making this shit up. The people I'm listening to are biased, and all the different sources that I'm getting and listening to for weeks and weeks and weeks from all these different sources, that's all wrong. Okay. I'm not saying I know everything and that everything is like everything that comes out of my mouth is stone cold golden. I'm just trying to say I've observed a lot of financial news in the last few months, and anybody that's worth their weight in salt is saying this is a big deal. This is an emergency. Here it is, folks. The guarantee. The stone cold, write it in diamond, scribble this shit in obsidian, okay? Scratch this on the moon with a fucking death laser. The recession is guaranteed. Guaranteed. Here's Jim Cramer saying it might happen tomorrow. It might happen on Monday. But here's CNBC's Jim Cramer saying that there won't be a U.S. recession. Folks, May 2nd, this was yesterday. It's coming on Monday. It's coming on Monday, dude. It's coming on Monday. This guy is a freak. I don't understand what it is. It's a weird humiliation kink. He gets in front of the camera. He says totally objectively wrong things. Buy Tesla, then the price goes down, et cetera, et cetera. He masquerades as some kind of expert. He's I don't know who he's fooling. Everything this man says, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. And here we have ultimate proof the recession is happening. CNBC's Jim Cramer says there won't be a U.S. recession. This was yesterday. Do what you can. Do what you can, folks. Recession on Monday, guaranteed. There it is. Okay. Here's all the news I so far haven't covered. Make it stop. Make it stop. I used to be able to wrap this up in 4 hours, okay? I can't even get through Gaza in 4 hours. Oh, how many videos of screaming, dying kids did we watch? 6? 5, 6? Folks, I'd like to remind you about the BLOP, the big list of protests, one more time. I'm going to keep repeating it because it's never been more important than it is now. Political activism, Nonviolent direct political action is the only solution to this problem, okay? We need to, 1, inform ourselves, 2, sign up and show up, and step 3, put in the motherfucking work. Here's the blop. We'll get on that female eunuchs. I need to put that in there. Exclamation point blop. Check out the blop. Show up. And if you can't show up, donate. If you can't donate, get the fuck out of my way. Okay? Stop being an impediment to progress. Stop telling me why this shit doesn't work, why we need to try something else, and then you got no other fucking ideas. Stop being a wallflower. Stop making the founding fathers weep. Okay? Get out there, dissent. It feels good. And one more time, I need to repeat this, okay? Stone cold promise. It's a sexual orgy, okay? Just naked people everywhere. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah at every protest, okay? You're guaranteed to get laid. Guaranteed, folks. Guaranteed, okay? Just hand out condoms to everybody. You could actually totally get away with that. No one would find that weird. All right. News Underground. Democracy is so much more than just voting once every 2 years. Yeah, there might have been a time where maybe we could get away with, kind of chilling out and just voting every once in a while. We're way beyond that. Steve Bannon knows that. Charlie Kirk knows that. Curtis Yarvin knows that. Ben Shapiro knows that. The fascists know that. Tim Pool is aware. Maybe. Tim Pool's fucking clueless. Folks, I got to give props to every one of you real motherfuckers in the chat, regulators in the chat. Where'd we get at today? I'm curious. Where's the view count at? I'm curious. Where'd we get at today? Where's the view count? 22 viewers, loving it. Thank you, folks. Thank you. 22 viewers, loving it. Thank you so much for those views. Ice King of Space, Lenny, Long Leg Homo Sapien, female eunuchs, big props. Most of you guys were here the whole stream. Meat Shield, thank you so much. Came back even after we had the complete collapse of Chrome. I had to reinstall Chrome, folks. It's been a journey. I had to reinstall Chrome. Big props to your boy from south of Boston, Lenny. Thank you so much once again, Lenny, for your undying support. Folks, make sure you're clicking the follow on Lenny. Make sure you're watching those Lenny streams. Good work over there at the Lenny stream. Need to catch one myself. Zio Duke over here. Thank you, Zio Duke, for coming in once again. The Dream 706. Big props to you regulators in the chat. Ice King of Space. All of you lurkers. Big props to you lurkers. Thank you so much. Simply Steve. Yeah, ho. Simply Steve. Yeah, ho. Simply Steve. Big props to your boy Davey, the conservative who just can't get enough punishment. But thank you for coming back, and thank you for giving us your honest opinion on things. Bound, big props to you, Bound. Big fucking props to Bound. Once again, thank you to everybody in the Discord who's contributing to the Discord. Thank you, strategy member, for your hard work. Appreciate that. Poodles rule. Big props, Poodles rule. Gaius Flavius Josephus over here. Big props, Soviet Mind. Thank you again. Ryan 1600 for coming in. Thank you again for all those follows, everybody. You guys rule. You folks rule. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Anybody else in the chat? Oh, there we go. Krail of Xanath. Thank you, Krail of Xanath. Appreciate you sticking around. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to Ukrainian democracy. And fucking live free or die. News Underground. Don't forget Dan. Thank you, Dan Boing Bingo Bongo. Thank you so much, Dan Bingo Bongo. Couldn't do it without you, Bingo Bingo Bongo Bingo Boy. Big props to your boy, Bingo Bongo Bingo. Dan Boinga Jingo. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to Ukrainian democracy. Fucking live free or die in this bitch. Have a good one.
You should mind the manners. I hear them protect them to walk with nigga. He playing number squash. He should have prayed the nigga. You suckers like the tip. Squeeze trigger till they get it. Speed determined out. I damn it let it. Was still into get higher. Smoking nothing but fire. Hand on my land. Nigga, you's a liar. So cause they try to screw me. I told them make them do me. I'm checking on the booster. This shit's going through me.